I'm seeing a lot of these high-profile lefty accounts say that Twitter's over, that the party is done, Elon is panicking, everything's falling apart, and they're all jumping ship, heading over to Mastodon or Tribal Social. And it's funny because, Ron Perlman and a couple other actors were like, I'm leaving this platform. And then a day later, they're like, just popping back in to say, Elon's a bad dude. They'll be back. Because Elon Musk, Twitter, they've announced record growth, 15 million new daily active users, some of the biggest the website's ever seen, if not the most growth in a month they've ever seen. And Elon Musk is reinvigorating the platform. People all of a sudden want to be back on it. So as we see people like Ethan Klein and Kathy Griffin banned permanently for violating the terms of service, of course, they're crying and screaming, saying, Twitter's all over, man. No one's going to use it. It's going to be really funny, though. Because these actors, they all in this big wave started impersonating Elon Musk with verified accounts. So he started locking their accounts because that's always been against the rules. These people are saying, that's it. We're going to have to go to Mastodon because no one's going to be here anymore. Yet the platform's growing. Regular people, not the cult, they're taking back public discourse on Twitter. So I'm excited to see so far what Elon has done. Of course, I mentioned Ethan Klein has been banned, the H3H3 Productions Twitter account. Kathy Griffin, and then a bunch of actors and actresses have claimed, like, we're ditching Twitter. We don't want to be here anymore. Here's the funny thing. I think it's a scam. I think a bunch of these celebrities were using had fake followers because it's a big PR stunt. These companies have always done stuff like this. They want to make it look like you're more prominent. If Elon Musk comes in and starts purging all the fake accounts, how many followers are going to be lost by these big celebrities? It'll be really embarrassing. So what do? The smart people are like, I'm leaving on principle. Give me press before it becomes embarrassing. So we're going to talk about that. And then, of course, ladies and gentlemen, the only story that I actually care about because it's mystical and it's magical is the MAGA moon rising. I want you all to hear this. At 12:02 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, when the contiguous United States is now completely within November 8th, the day of the midterm, there will be, at 12:02 a.m., a blood moon, a full moon, total blood lunar eclipse. It's when the moon starts turning red. For those on the East Coast, between 5:17 and 6:45 or so, you will see a blood red moon. Now, the Incans and the Mesopotamians believed that a blood moon signified the death of the king and the overthrow of his regime. I kid you not. This is crazy. So that one has me just like, I don't know if I believe in the omens or anything, but the overthrow of the king, revolution, a red wave perhaps, not of establishment Republicans, but of MAGA Republicans. So people are calling it the MAGA moon. We'll talk about that plus all of the absurdities. Man, we've got Democrats contradicting themselves, of course, with the left saying, where my free speech is going away. Blah. Yeah. You never cared before. And then we have Fetterman suing over, ballots they're trying to get counted. There's a lot of stuff going on we're going to talk about. So before we get started, my friends, head over to timcast.com, become a member to support our work. We're going to have a members only show coming up for you at 11 or so p.m. You're not going to want to miss this one because it's the day before the election. So we're going to go ham with it for sure and talk totally uncensored, not family friendly. That'll be at 11 p.m. And then tomorrow we're doing an extended show. I mean, we're just going to be live for a long time. We may go live at 6 p.m. We really got to figure it out. Just go early and just have the stream run as we hang out and watch the election results. But before we, one more thing I will add to, my friends. Head over to losingmymind.com. We could really use your support on this one. We launched an overtly political song, Genocide, on Friday. This is the most important week as you want to get as many sales and views as possible so that you hit the Billboard charts. That first week is so important. If you go to losingmymind.com, you can check out the song on any one of these platforms, but really buying it on the iTunes store or anywhere, it's 69 cents. It really, really helps because sales are huge. And the song is mocking the establishment corporate press. Outright, we have them singing for us. Check out the music video. And here's a little snippet you can just see. There's me, Tucker, facing at Taylor Lorenz. It's very, very fun as she sings about how she lies to manipulate people. It's all good fun. We've got a bunch more stuff in the works, so I really do appreciate everyone who supported this song. So smash that like button, subscribe to this channel, share the show with your friends. Joining us today to talk about this and so much more, we have, of course, Libby.
Hey, Tim, what's going on?
I don't need to say your last name anymore.
I have a last name. I'm not one of these no, my God. I'm not one of these one-name people. Nope. Nice to see you guys. Thanks.
It's Libby Emmons.
That's it.
But you're here so much. Just
Libby
say Libby
Emmons. Yeah, that's it. Yep.
Also, Ian is not here tonight. We have Owen Cook.
What's up, guys?
Who are you?
I do seminars all over the world. We do them completely for free. We've done live events in 265 cities, 75 countries around the world, hundreds of thousands of people face-to-face and millions online. And then we post them on YouTube. It's about personal growth, making more money, getting better socially, getting more spiritually tapped in.
Right on.
Hey guys, my name is Luke Rudaski here of WeAreChange.org, and I know everyone's talking about the midterm elections right now, but I want to come out officially right now, and I would like to endorse for 2024 my candidate of choice, Ligma Johnson. He is an individual that has a lot of stiff competition, but he's gonna be very hard on the issues that matter, and he's going to win a lot of hearts and minds. If you are on the Ligma Johnson train, you can officially get this political shirt on thebestpoliticalshirts.com. Ligma Johnson 2024.
And I'm Serge.com. You know what it is.
Man, I would love to just start with the Blood Moon story because I love the weird, creepy stuff. But let's get into the nitty gritty of Elon banning all these people and record growth. From The Verge. Ah, yes, The Verge of all websites. They're a lefty website. Twitter tells advertisers that user growth is at all-time highs under Elon Musk. And then they add, but will that be enough for advertisers to come back? Yeah, it's pointless. You don't need to ask that question. Since Musk's takeover, Twitter's monetizable daily users growth has accelerated more than 20%, while Twitter's largest market, the US, is growing even more quickly, according to an internal fact obtained by The Verge that was shared with Twitter's sales team on Monday. All right, that's the news right there. But this is why it's important. Because right now we are seeing a bunch of leftists, these people who go on Twitter and just scream all day, they're getting banned. Kathy Griffin's gone. This guy, Rich Summers, gone. Sarah Silverman backed down. I love this. These people who are like, screw you, Elon, I'll do whatever I want. Well, a bunch of them went nuts. Ethan Klein, Kathy Griffin, for instance, defied warnings and impersonated Elon Musk with a verification badge, which has always been against the rules, and they're gone. Bye-bye. You're out of the conversation. Now, look, that's not the end of their careers, of course. I mean, Kathy Griffin, maybe. She had nothing left to begin with. Nobody wants to hire her. All she really had was her Twitter. But, you know, Ethan, he hosts a podcast, so he'll be able to keep working. He's just out of the Twitter space. Sarah Silverman, she posted that she was locked out of her account and then quickly obeyed the rules and then started saying what Elon Musk was doing, if true, would actually be very, very amazing. So I find this to be quite hilarious that all their huffing and puffing, it's not working. In fact, Elon Musk taking over has made Twitter better.
Yeah, by the way, Elon just tweeted a couple minutes ago, quote, Twitter usage is at an all-time high, LOL, and then goes on in a subtweet saying, I just hope the servers don't melt. Now, a lot of people are bringing up the controversy when it comes to the banning of a lot of these celebrities who, again, didn't follow the rules, were warned, and they still decided to kind of push the limits here. But at the end of the day, I definitely disagree with Kathy Griffin. I definitely disagree with H3H3. But at the end of the day, I hope there is some redemption for these individuals. But some people are thinking that this is going to be a larger strategy when it comes to bringing back a lot of different people. So other people are saying that this could be potentially 4D chess as a way to bring back the unbanned people and not have as much controversy and try to appease some people by saying, you know what, I'll bring back H3H3, but also so does Alex Jones. You know, I'll bring back Kathy Griffin, but so will, of course, the Babylon Bee. And then, of course, have a kind of concerted strategic effort on banning people. I think that's what might be happening here.
Yeah, I mean, Musk clearly wants to bring all these people back on the platform. He clearly wants Babylon Bee and all these guys back. He's just got to figure out how to do it to not lose everybody. And I think that he's not going to lose everybody. I think advertisers are going to jump back on. They're going to make a ton of money this way. Advertisers don't care. We know they don't care. It's obvious they don't care. During Pride Month, when they have all their big flags and they have trans everything, and they're super stoked about that all over the Anglosphere. And then you look at their advertising in Saudi Arabia and it's just black and white.
Yeah,
there's no pride anywhere. They don't care. They just want to go where the money is. And honestly, that is what they should be doing. They should be accountable to their shareholders, and that's what they should do.
No quarter. No quarter for these leftists on Twitter.
Huh? Okay.
No, look. If you come to me,
I say put them all on.
If you come to me, so Sargon, Carl Benjamin gets banned, and they all say, well, he broke the rules. He deserves to be banned. And it's like, he got banned for sarcastically insulting white supremacists or neo-Nazis or whatever. He was calling them a racial slur. This was Twitter, so not the YouTube thing. He was calling them, let's say, anti-Semitic slur. And I could be wrong, 'cause it's been a long time, but his point was he was calling them what they hated as a way to demean them because he doesn't like that kind of stuff. They banned him. These leftists then all say, good riddance, good, good, good. And so they're okay with censorship. They don't agree with free speech. Now that Elon Musk is in charge and saying, here are the rules, and they're whining and complaining, there is absolutely no way I will defend people. Think about how mean it would be to actually try and get them back on the platform. That means they come out and say, I believe in these values. And then I go, no, I'm going to reject your values and apply different values to you. No. They don't want free speech. I will not defend their free speech. That's exactly what they want and what they believe in. So that means permanent bans for all of these people. Ethan Klein, Kathy Griffin, don't care. Goodbye. Ethan Klein has praised cancel culture. He's praised bannings before. Kathy Griffin, of course. Okay, then. Guys, you reap what you've sown.
Yeah,
and
I totally disagree.
More than happy for you.
I totally
disagree
disagree with that too. Because the thing is, like, the reason you have values isn't because you want, you have values because you hold them across the board for everybody. You don't apply your values, based on what the other people believe. It's like if somebody believes in euthanasia and you're a doctor and you don't believe in euthanasia, you're not going to help.
If there's a bunch of houses and we all agree, okay, if a house starts on fire, we will all come together to help put the fire out and rebuild the home for you because we're in this together. And then a fire starts and one guy sits back laughing and we're like, hey, are you going to help? He's like, no, I don't care. It's good the fire's burning. And I'll be like, okay, dude, whatever. Then one day his house is on fire and he goes, help, my house is on fire. I'm going to sit back and be like, bro, you ain't getting anything from me. I'm not going to sit here and give all of my goodwill to people who exploit it. Now,
yeah, that means your values don't mean anything.
No,
if you don't apply them
it absolutely
in every
does.
setting.
It absolutely does. We've had this conversation quite a bit about defending free speech. And for a long time I said, well, you know what? When these people advocate for the destruction of the public discourse, we must still defend their free speech. No. When someone comes and says, I don't like what you say and I don't want you to say it, and we argue about it, that's fine. But if someone is actively destroying everything, yeah, I'm not going to defend them. They agree, they believe in this. They agree with it. You see my point?
I see your point. I just disagree with it.
There was a period where, on this show and on other shows, we've talked about, it's like, no, I know these people, no. Because what ends up happening is every single time these people advocate for things to get worse, and they do. And then what did we keep doing? Sitting down, crossing our legs, like, no, we have to be fair. Mm-hmm. Rick Santorum came on this show and said, we can't impeach Joe Biden. We have to be fair. And it's like, dude, the guy committed crimes. And he's like, we don't play those games. I am sick of this. I am done with it. I believe in free speech for people who agree with free speech. If you believe I should have a right to speak and you should have a right to speak, then I will stop anyone from censoring you because you are actively participating in making things better. But if you're the arsonist going around burning down houses, then I say no quarter for you. Get that out. These are destructive people who are burning everything down.
What if the fire gets too crazy and it affects your house? That's another analogy here. And I do believe Biden should be absolutely impeached. And I absolutely disagree with everything. I think some of their behavior was absolutely disgusting, especially Kathy Griffin with the Trump mask,
the Trump head.
The Trump head. That was absolutely
but
just
that's
immoral.
Not the issue.
Yeah.
The issue is they were actively getting people banned. And now, when the rules are applied to them, and get this, Elon changed the rules for these people. That also pissed me off. The rules have always been, if you're verified, you cannot impersonate people. What did Elon say? I'm changing the rules for all of these unhinged leftists. You're now allowed to do it so long as you put parody in your name.
So long as you say it's parody,
and they still wouldn't do it, so they got banned. Well, this is not so much even about the analogy of people, of someone refusing to help with my house is on fire and he won't help. No. This is the guy who set the fire. These are people who went around actively attacking the right of speech. Mm-hmm. If that is your principles, I say you live by them. Yeah. And I'm not going to defend you. Kathy Griffin wants to post a picture for what Trump said. I will defend her right when they try to censor her. She actively encourages censorship. I'm going to say you live by the sword. Yeah. Congratulations.
I think everyone deserves a road to redemption.
I totally agree with that.
I think they should be able to be able to be a part of the conversations. They should, of course, not be permanently banned from ever being on a platform that is a major communication highway, that we should understand where their voices are coming from in order to battle their bad ideas, because if we just shun them to the side, they're going to grow and fester.
I agree. I really want Meghan Murphy back on the platform.
Yeah.
I agree. However, I will not in any way lift a single finger to help them. That's it.
Right. I'm listening to this. I agree with both of your points. Like, I see where you're coming from and I see where you're coming from. I'm going to need like a couple days to think about this because you both make great points. It's Do you think there's any chance that Ethan could come around based on this experience, or do you think he's too stubborn?
One more time, sorry.
Could Ethan come around on the idea of free speech based on this experience? Could this be eye-opening for him, perhaps?
He praised cancel culture. So whenever negative things are applied to him, he talks about how he's an advocate for free speech. When bad things happen to other people, he talks about how you're being held to certain standards and facing consequences. It's nonsense. Yeah. It's hypocrisy. It is. So look.
Well, he's a smart enough guy to become successful, right? So maybe he'll come around. I'd be interested to see if he has a different perspective after this. And he's made videos about me, by the way, and I've never minded that. But I'd be curious to see if he comes around based on this. Could be a teachable moment for him.
I doubt it. He's saying Elon Musk killed comedy. Dude broke the rules, defied the warnings, broke the rules again, and now it's a stunt. But I'll tell you, the way I see this is we're part of a big community. We agree with the principle of free speech. People like this have lied, cheated, and stolen their way to gain followers and gain power. Their principles flicker and blow with the wind, and it is completely meaningless what they say. So when they come out now and say, no, I'm for free speech, I'll be like, listen, I'm going to hold you to the standards you asked me to hold you to. If somebody was in my house and they kept smashing things, I would kick them out. But you're making them homeless. You're making them, so what? You were smashing things up. I don't want people to be homeless. I think people, should have a chance, but at a certain point, someone is so destructive, chaotic, that you just say, I'm not doing it. If Kathy Griffin got banned for just the Trump head, I'd be like, no. That's a really, really dangerous path to go in that kind of art, but I don't think we should be banning that. The difference here is these are people who actively fight against free speech, and I'm at the point where I'm like, I'm not going to let arsonists in my house. If we're all in agreement that we shouldn't commit arson, we're good. You can make a campfire. You're not doing arson. You go to my house, start setting fires. I'm not going to sit here and be like, nah, it's all right. I believe in the people have a right to be warm. It's like, no, that's totally different. There's a difference. It's just, look.
I don't know about that analogy. I mean, I don't know.
There's a lot of analogies here that we can interpret in many different ways.
If you sit back and let people constantly smack you in the face, and then when you say stop, they go, they're going around punching people. Another analogy for you. And then you just say like, well, I don't believe in violence, so we're going to let them keep doing it. It's like, no way, dude.
Well, that's the pacifist
view. You arrest them,
right?
you stop
That's the pacifist view. Is if somebody's attacking you, you don't attack them.
But words
back.
aren't violent.
So listen, by all means, I think Ethan and Kathy Griffin have a right to speech. I think that them getting banned was actually kind of dumb. Elon should just lock their accounts until they change it, and then lock it again until they change it. It's just you can't, and they take away the verification badge. Another thing you can do is if you change your name and parody someone, your icon changes to a gesture cap permanently. So if Kathy Griffin wants to parody Elon, she gets a permanent gesture cap. However, I will not advocate for nor lift a finger for these people to get their accounts back.
Or just put a notice underneath their profile. Hey guys, these guys impersonate other individuals. Be careful, they might be scamming you. Or something like that. Yeah. Or something like that.
So they have the candidate tag, put a parody tag under their name the first time they do it and forever. That's it.
So do you feel that it should be permanently banned, or that they should do that other solution that you said?
I think if you change your profile to impersonate someone without labeling it parody, they should first lock your account and say, as a verified account, you cannot impersonate. Change your profile picture and your name, or add parody to your account and apply the jester icon. And then if you say no, you can go back to being your regular verified self. If you then keep doing it, then Twitter forcibly puts the parody under your name permanently and a gesture icon. But there's nothing wrong with that if you're an actual comedy account.
I thought that was a great suggestion. So do you think that they should be left banned, or do the suggestion that you said there?
Suggestion I said, but I will never, if I ever see Elon Musk, not a single word will be muttered of these people in any way to bring their accounts back. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to advocate for arsonists to be restored. Do I think they deserve free speech? Yes. Will I defend anybody who fights for free speech? Yes, but I'm done letting arsonists run amok and then acting like, I'll say it again. When Rick Santorum said we can't impeach Joe Biden because we are better than that, I'm like, dude, they are running roughshod over you right now. They have arrested and charged a bunch of pro-lifers. Meanwhile, right now, there are protesters at Amy Coney Barrett's house. Maybe not right now, but in the past day or so. There's a clear problem of double standards here, and I'm not going to sit back and just be like, well, I'm going to consistently apply my values to evil people who are burning things down.
Hey, comparing someone or someone's argument to a Rick Santorum argument is a low blow. First of all, that's not fair. He is not a man of the people, and I definitely disagree with him on this particular.
Do you think he used to be?
I don't know. He's a very weird politician, but again, mainline, middle of the road. I think again, the criticism of him is absolutely fair. I don't know. I don't think it could be attributed to this larger conversation.
Let's do this. We'll get into it. Here's a tweet from Pop Crave. Pop Crave's got 1.1 million followers, and they said Twitter suspends Ethan Klein despite him following Elon Musk's stated guideline for parody accounts. That is a lie. That is absolutely not true. Across the board, all of these different websites are lying about why why Kathy Griffin and Ethan Klein are being banned. This is what I'm saying. I'm not.
NPR lied about that. I was listening to their report this morning on that.
Ethan Klein banned after mocking Elon Musk over verification fiasco. They were banned because they changed their images and names to Elon Musk without putting parody in their name. Now, here's what pisses me off. Elon gave them special rules. Why? So Milo got his verification removed because he put BuzzFeed news reporter in his profile, Milo Yiannopoulos. And then he was complaining about it. Like, why was I removed? It's like, well, you put BuzzFeed reporter. They said you're not verified then. The rules on Twitter are that you cannot be verified and be parodied. That's just always been that way. Elon decided to make special rules to allow the left to do this so they could make fun of him. And they intentionally broke the rules. Now, maybe 4D chess. He said, I'm going to get them. I'm going to give them what they ask for and they'll still reject it. He gave them warnings. They rejected it. So these people don't want to be on the platform. They don't want to have their accounts restored. These are people who are engaged in outright social media arson. And the media is lying on their behalf.
Well, they are. Yeah, there is definite lying going on about this. NPR was saying that people were banned for having parody accounts, which was exactly untrue as well. And do you think that Musk just thought that these people have him over a barrel or something? I mean, he should clearly not think that now that the platform is growing so much.
But he knew that. He's got all the data. He knows the growth is happening, and he clearly doesn't care. He's tweeting at people $8. $8 is the new learn to code.
Right. Yeah, he's been doing that.
Good, man. You know, there's that viral Karl Popper meme. You ever see it? Where he's like the little comic book, and he's like, if you tolerate intolerance, then intolerance takes over. It's like, okay, for you, I will apply those standards, but for nobody else. So if these people like Ethan want to say it is good that people are banned, I'll say, then when you're banned, so be it. Congratulations, it's what you asked for.
This is also a difference in ideology towards the world in general, right? So some people believe in firm boundaries and order, and some people believe in not feeding reactive energy, right? And it's just two different paradigms of approaching the same problem. And I've seen both things work. I've seen it to where if you put a firm boundary, it actually helps things. And if you don't have a boundary, things go to chaos. But I've also seen it to where if you forgive somebody and you say, hey, you know, maybe get him to come around. You know, maybe Ethan could come around. Like where do you get to the point that somebody Ethan comes around?
You don't.
But the thing is,
this is the problem with this, is that the dude has been involved in so many high-profile cancellations and advocated for so much that when you come into the conversation late, you're like, maybe we can turn him around. It's like, bro, we've been here for years.
He's made videos about me. I never minded it. But the point is that, you know, I can see the gray area to any human being, and he's a very intelligent person, and his buddy Hassan's an intelligent person. They're also very angry people. I disagree with most of what they say, but their minds are sharp, so they might be able to see things a different way. It'd be amazing if you guys could have more conversations.
See, you're filling in for Ian very, very well here, Owen. I got to be. So we've had this conversation way too many times, especially with Ian, because it's like no matter how many times an evil person does something evil and refuses an olive branch, you know, Ian is always, he's a good-hearted guy. He's always just like, we got to give him a chance. And I'm like, at a certain point, dude.
What would it take to get you guys into a conversation?
You mean when I invite them on the show consistently all the time in good faith?
Well, they're LA-based, right?
And they use that to gain followers and make up fake drama to make it seem like I pulled some BS. The moment you tweet at them something nice, they use it for views and they make drama. It's just out of the question.
I think it'd be an amazing conversation. Like, do you ever make it to LA or they could make it out here?
Oh, come on, bro. Like, we've invited this guy on so many times.
Who, Ethan?
I've invited Ethan, I think, once or twice, outright ignored. Hassan actually agreed and then privately DM'd and said, I won't do it. I'm sorry. And I'm like, okay,
Hassan's got a lot of courage. I mean, he debated Andrew
He outright
Tate.
said he will never do it.
Really? I'm surprised by that.
I'm not. Like,
is it because they want you to go to Los Angeles?
No, it's because...
So if you go to LA, they're going to decline.
Dude,
wow.
I can't keep having this conversation.
Okay.
Like, we have invited all of these people consistently, and what they do invariably is you send an email where you're like, we'd love to have you on the show. And if it's calm and polite, it's typically ignored. Sometimes they'll then screenshot it, post it, and be like, they invited me, but then started calling me a racial slur. It's just like, the moment you open up communication, they're like, now's my chance to get views. Now's my chance to make drama. Ooh, they want to talk to me? Let's make drama out of it. There's no point.
Well, that's been a lot of this whole Twitter thing is making drama.
That's all it is.
You know, it's like, or all the people who are saying that they're leaving the platform and they make giant big shows about leaving the platform. It reminds me of like several years ago when people would leave Facebook, they'd be like, I can't be on Facebook anymore. I just can't handle it anymore. And then it'd be like 2 weeks later and they're just like, hi, I'm back on Facebook. It's like, you gave me a whole song and dance about how you were leaving. Now you're back. Total loser.
Elon Musk
shut it.
give them warnings. They defied those warnings and intentionally got banned, and then started doing a PR run of Elon Musk is targeting me and they don't believe in free speech. That's why I'm like, no quarter, because I believed in free speech for these people over and over and over again, and every time I did, they turned it around as a PR stunt. And I'm like, okay, at a certain point, you have to recognize evil people are lying to you. That's it. Stop helping evil people. That's it. Help good people who in good faith are censored. When someone comes out and says, if someone came out and said, I don't believe in free speech, and then got censored, I'd be like, okay, that person shouldn't have been censored. If someone comes out actively trying to get people banned, celebrating their bannings, and says no one should ever be allowed back on, I'd be like, okay, well then it happens to you. I'm not going to defend you. That's it. Yeah. There you go.
Well, I wasn't going to go out there advocating for people, but I'd be happy to have everybody back on the platform.
At this point, it's like,
you
want to hear what they have to say.
Let them go.
Yeah, why not? Like, just have everybody on Twitter.
Well, whenever people are censored, they usually double down. They're usually forced into more kind of extremist corners on the internet, and they usually never have even a pathway towards seeing any kind of other semblance in any other side of the story. I don't know. I might be too optimistic, but I think at the end of the day, bring everyone back. Let's have a full debate. Let's have a conversation, and let the best ideas beat out the bad ideas. And I think that's going to happen, and I think that's the strategy here.
And right. And no one disagrees with that. Yeah. And we got a good super chat that makes a great example, a great analogy. A battle is being fought between two ideological opponents. One side continually insists, if we have the high ground, we must cede to the lower ground in an even battlefield with our enemies. It's only fair and the right thing to do. And they say, thank you. And then they start shooting at you again.
Yeah.
So it's like, dude, take the high ground. I'm done with this. If people want free speech and advocate for free speech and have disparate opinions and angry opinions and bad opinions and leftist opinions, I don't care. If Elon Musk banned someone literally because they were making fun of him, I'd be like, that is BS. But these are people who are lying. The media is lying. They're claiming they were banned for making fun of Elon Musk. Total lies. They're saying they followed the rules. Total lies. They are setting fire to the system and hoping we give them an opportunity to come back. I'm not doing it. Anyway, Whoopi Goldberg and what's her name? Gigi Hadid delete their Twitter accounts? Hadid?
Yeah. She's like a supermodel.
Yeah.
Right? Isn't she a supermodel?
Yes.
I don't care. These people are all leaving and Twitter is growing more than it's ever grown. More and more people want to be on the platform. Elon Musk is making it funny, exciting, and entertaining again. And these people are just like, well, I'm leaving. Good, so be it. I don't care. Bye. So this is the point. Kathy Griffin and Ethan Klein wanted to get banned. Like, along with all of these other actors, they're intentionally leaving the platform.
Because you think that their follower accounts are fake.
No, I think for a lot of them, it's true. Like, a lot of high-profile celebrities, you ever notice they'll tweet and get like 5 retweets? Mm-hmm. They'll get like they have 1 million followers and nobody ever interacts with them.
That is a whole crazy thing.
Could I speak on that? By the way, I live in Los Angeles. I live right in the epicenter of this. So I'll meet the people. They actually approach me and offer to me to boost my followers. I say no because I think it'll mess up your engagement. But they'll point out to me all the people who they've actually boosted their followers. It's apparently was very, very common for a long, long time.
Oh, really? To have people like come in and
fake followers, fake engagement. They'll even get it to the point where they increase the followers, then increase the views on the videos, increase the likes, increase the comments, and you can tell the comments are very dumb and kind of simple. Mm-hmm. This is a huge, huge thing. They do it because they're trying to get social proof. Something they do.
Yeah. Well, that's what celebrities do.
Just to make yourself look more popular, more relevant.
That's what celebrities do. Now, what politicians do is even double layered than that, because they're using tax dollars for bots and sock puppet accounts in order to, of course, galvanize political stances and ideas that they want you to believe that other people are behind as well. So this happens on a big major level.
This is where Elon Musk is smart. In 2011, there were revelations. Leaked communications showed that the U.S. government was purchasing sock puppet accounts to manipulate public opinion. They claimed not in the United States. Nonetheless, Twitter was heavily involved. So Elon probably looked at this and said, the intelligence agencies really want these accounts. They want to manipulate. They have no choice but to pay me $8 per account they use. So he says $8. Now, it's funny because all these leftists are like, there's only 400,000 verified individuals anyway. Even if Elon Musk charged them all $8, he wouldn't make enough to run the platform. And it's just like, are you stupid?
Yeah, that's not
He
the
wants to
point.
charge people who are not verified to become
Yeah.
verified so that he gets millions of $8 subscriptions. But more importantly, the U.S. government will now have to spend $8 per bot. And they probably operate millions of them. So Elon's like, hey, but here's the worst part. That's my money. That's your money.
Yeah.
Elon, what? It's a government taking our money and giving it to Elon Musk.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's pretty much his history when you look at all the businesses he
Right.
started. Number one, but you know, as we talked about celebrities having social proof, the government, I think their proof is called like MK Ultra proof or something. But they do this on such a grand level, and we are literally at the precipice where all of this could be exposed. All of the manipulation, all the finagling, all the things that are happening behind the scenes that we don't know about when it comes to the big government putting their hand up your, you know what, in your business. That could all end with Elon Musk saying, okay, I'm going to make a stand here. Fake accounts, fake bots, not allowed here, which is going to really change the internet landscape as of course, social media has become so curated. The algorithms are so controlled that it's only what special interests want you to see. When we have free speech, when we don't have bots, we have the first potential for actual real conversations to happen that could change not only the social landscape, but the political landscape of this country and change it for what I believe to be for the better, since good ideas will be able to battle bad ideas. And I think this has been happening on such a big level, especially during the last 3 years, especially during COVID. All the bad ideas that were followed, that people were going along with, could never be tested and challenged. Now, the government's going to face a reality that they can't lie to us anymore, and that's going to be a game changer.
I think they're going to keep lying to us anyway.
Yeah.
This-
I don't
this
think
also,
that's
if he
going
could-
But
to
not on
change.
social media.
This also,
I
if
think
Elon
they
can
are
pull this
gonna
off, though.
still do
If you guys have seen the article by Darren Beatty from Revolver.news about Elon Musk and Twitter, have you guys seen those? Darren Beatty on Revolver.news, he wrote
Which
these,
one?
These incredible articles about how for Elon Musk to buy Twitter is not like buying Home Depot. So even if Home Depot is theoretically bigger, Twitter is this, entire national conversation. So Elon is probably going to take so many hits based on this, and there's so many vulnerabilities that Elon has. So it's going to be tough for him, I think, to make this truly free speech. I think it's still up in the air if he's able to do this.
I think it really is funny when you think about the government sock puppets that, Elon's businesses are all about subsidies, SpaceX, government contracts. What did Tesla get? They got subsidies or what?
Yeah, especially when it comes to carbon credits that they also sell on the market right now. That's one of the ways that they still make a lot of their money. People don't understand that. Elon Musk is also for a carbon tax, also for world government, and promotes a lot of the bigger globalist issues as well.
The real dispute is that the people complaining about Elon are actually government sock puppets being like, we don't want to spend the $8.
As they buy his Tesla.
That's right.
As
But these
AOC,
are
like
like-
AOC.
Well, they
These
don't,
are-
though.
these
I
are
mean,
like-
if you think, there have been a lot of incidences where Biden has touted EVs and stuff, and he never mentions Tesla.
Yeah. Well, now there's a big there was a big shift, as of course he's even promoting and giving tax incentives to companies that don't produce cars in the United States. Tesla produces cars in
All right.
Texas.
Exactly.
All right.
Exactly.
Let's talk about Elon. From Politico. Elon Musk backs Republicans ahead of midterms. Shared power curbs the worst excesses of both parties, Musk wrote in a tweet. He went on to say that he's always been independent, leaning Democrat. Now he's saying it's time to vote Republican. To independent-minded voters, shared power curbs the worst excesses of both parties. Therefore, I recommend voting for a Republican Congress, given that the presidency is Democratic, Musk wrote on Twitter. All right. I'll take it, I guess. He ain't wrong.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the way to go personally, and I think
Yeah.
a lot of the states where we have contentious elections, like New York, suddenly is very contentious. We have Kathy Hochul, who is just the worst. I mean, she's terrible, and we have Lee Zeldin, who has the broad support of the Jewish community that's been facing increasing anti-Semitism in the city, and suddenly Zeldin has pulled ahead in the polls. That's fascinating. I don't think we've had a Republican governor in New York State since
Pataki.
Pataki. Yeah,
When was
he was
that?
the last one. That was like 94.
That was
Wasn't it?
2000. I think he was also a Bilderberg member, George Pataki.
Oh, really?
I had a conversation with him. It didn't go as good as I thought it would.
Really?
But the argument that Elon Musk is making here is essentially, I was talking about this a couple days ago on this show, saying specifically the best government is no government. When the government is fighting each other, that's the government I want, because then the government isn't fighting you, the citizenry. And the
They're
points
still
he makes
spending
here.
all your money, though.
Well, not if they're not passing laws by having, of course, arguments about them and not agreeing with them. So they're spending less of your money. They're passing less laws when there's, of course, a juggernaut inside of the Capitol and all of them are disagreeing on what they should be
Right,
doing.
but what we have going on right now is we have a Congress that disagrees with each other, that doesn't get anything done. And so then we have a president who just runs executive orders from the Oval Office, spending trillions of dollars in so doing on
Yeah.
all kinds of random garbage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, executive orders have been normalized by the previous presidents, and it seems like
Well, but
every
Biden
president
is
is
on
doing
track
it
to
more
do
and
more
more
and
and more.
more. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Trump had a bunch of executive
Trump
orders
had
as
a
well.
bunch. Obama had a ton.
Yep.
He had more than Bush.
And I think
Yeah.
we also have to counter and factor in the Federal Reserve policies that truly do matter when it comes to our money. But I'm not making the policy about even just the money. I'm talking about government intervening in your life. And I think that's what Elon Musk is calling for here, a checks of balances. So the Republicans say no to the Democrats say no to the Republicans. I'm all for that.
Yeah, I think what we'll end up seeing if we do have, the red wave is we're going to see all of these investigations, because Congress won't be able to get any laws passed, but they will be able to dig into things and figure out what's been going on.
Agreed. Yeah. Subpoena power. Rand Paul, I guess, is going to be on like the health committee or something like that.
And Marjorie Taylor Greene's going to get some committees back. She
right.
wants to be on the oversight committee. Is that what she said? Which one
I
did
don't
she want to be on? But, she's
That'd be
got
cool.
McCarthy over a barrel a little bit, and he's going to have to put her on whatever she wants.
And then maybe a couple
Yay,
years
I think
later,
that's great.
2 years later, we'll have new leadership. Maybe
Right.
we'll get more America First candidates in, but this is a start.
What's
gonna be
the
pretty
best government,
interesting.
Owen? Give us the answer here.
I don't know. I've had so many conflicting opinions of this as I've gotten older.
Minimal. I think the challenge is with, I think a lot of these ideologies, communism, even anarchism, are utopian. They're idealistic. And humans are driven by emotion. One of the challenges with the marketplace of ideas argument that we should let all the ideas compete with each other, which I mostly agree with, is that what we've seen consistently from the left is exploitation of emotion for power. And so when you put every idea in the marketplace, and one idea is 2 + 2 = 4, the left comes in and says, you're a white supremacist. And you go, huh? And then it makes people feel bad. Those feelings drive them more than the facts do. So your argument only works insofar as you're able to effectively communicate. When you have people who are clearly not trying to communicate and trying to deceive and destroy, well, you get big problems. So we can say we want no government. We want to be libertarian. We want to say everybody can do their thing, but then evil people seek to exploit.
Well, it goes even deeper, too, when you have censorship. So now you can't even fight back effectively. I feel like if you have free speech openly and you can fight back, you can make really, really compelling arguments. I mean, if there was a platform where we could speak freely, the things that the kind of content that I could make would be off the chains, but can't do it, right? So that's one part. Another thing, too, is that it's really, really sick and sociopathic when you see some of the most important issues in the world, things like, being against white supremacy, then being twisted for some kind of political agenda. I mean, these are really, really important issues that then get twisted, and it actually devalues it, right? So if everybody's being called these things, it devalues it for when there's a real instance of that, which is just one of the sickest things that I've ever seen. And it's one of these things where then people are afraid to even give their opinion because if you get painted with that brush, it's kind of like becoming radioactive.
Yeah, I'm for anarchy myself, because anarchy to me represents decentralization. And I think most of our problems in our society are plaguing from centralization. And I think the more we break up power, the more we allow individuals to decide for themselves that is right for them, I think that's the pathway that's going to help us.
But then maybe the real answer is not anarchy, but to recognize that a system the power will always begin to coalesce. And there needs to be a mechanism to immediately shatter that centralized power, and then recognizing that your decentralized system will slowly start to centralize again. I don't think we have in this country the proper mechanisms for reestablishing decentralization. And it's because power doesn't want to give itself up. So the Constitution has done a really great job of holding back rapid centralization, but even now the Constitution is Swiss cheese.
Yeah, and things are really tightening up at a federal level. You even hear Biden talking about how if the Democrats hold Congress, they're going to pass, they're going to federally legalize abortion, even though that's not something that the populace as a whole wants. They're just going to do stuff anyway.
And they've been.
And
when was the last time they declared war?
Yeah, they don't do that. They do.
Was it Vietnam?
They do instead, though, pass legislation about not being discriminatory based on people's hairstyles.
That's in New York. That's an actual
So-
law passed in New York City.
Yes.
Where if you get caught discriminating against someone's haircut, allegedly, you
Yes.
have to pay, what is it, $150,000 fine?
I don't know. something
$125,000
ridiculous.
And
fine?
Yeah.
that's for accidental. If it's a willful discrimination, it's $250.
That's insane. That's too much government. That's too much.
But I'm pretty sure they put that in at the federal level. I'm pretty sure that went through Congress.
I don't remember hearing that. I remember hearing it in New York City specifically.
Yeah, it was definitely in New York City, but they're also going to put through the thing, the federal level, where you basically can't be a freelancer anymore. You know, the like AB5 in California. They're doing that. The PRO Act.
New York's doing that.
New York is doing that, but also the federal government is doing that.
I think what?
Yeah, Biden has been pushing for that for a while.
That's apocalyptic.
dude.
Yeah.
That would
It's a
so
devastating plan because
people-
it means that people are no longer in control of their own work product.
Yeah.
It means you can't be an independent.
You can't just be
anything.
yourself and hire yourself out and do some work.
So AB5, for those unfamiliar, it was this law they passed in California that said something like, it was different per job, but if you do a certain number of jobs as an independent contractor, you're now an employee. What happened was instantly, my favorite thing, Vox, SB Nation, fired all their freelancers.
They had to because
Yeah.
they couldn't do it, and they couldn't be a freelancer in California anymore. And also the companies that the law was designed to go after, like Uber and some other ones, got waivers,
Right.
so
Yeah.
they didn't have
They were
to
allowed
do
to
it.
But here's the way it works. Under this law, and if with the PRO Act, is that New York or is that federal one?
The PRO Act that would be federal.
So this is what that means. Let's say you make birdhouses for a living. And then you go to a local shop and say, I'd like to sell you this birdhouse. They'd be like, I can't buy from you because if I buy too many, then you're an employee. Wait, what? I'm just trying to sell you a birdhouse.
Well, and then they have all the regulations about different ways that you have to treat your employees, and you
Yes,
have to give,
exactly.
sick leave and parental
Well,
leave and
communism.
all of these things.
Yeah, I'm
and the other thing too is like you're just a person. You want to work out of your house. You don't want to be beholden to some company. You don't want them to tell you what to do. And the next thing you know, you can't, make your.
So I'm
bed
reading
money.
online.
I'm an
Yeah.
employer based out of California, and I can tell you that once they started bringing that stuff in, we actually decided just to shrink. And then when COVID happened, we decided to shrink even more, and we actually became a lot more efficient and profitable. I was the kind of person where we usually have around 100 employees, and I did that because I just like to hire people. I just want people to get paid, and I like making jobs. But when they start messing with you like that, you're like, you know what? Forget it. We're just going to become more efficient, and that's what we did.
And now there's homeless people everywhere because they're struggling to function in the society.
Yeah.
Vote for more of it, I guess. Tomorrow, hey, here's your chance if you want to burn it all down. Yeah, but I'm not even kidding. Many of these far leftists are like, if you vote for them, they will keep burning it down. There you go.
I actually hit a point where, because I run a seminars company and they wouldn't let us do seminars anymore during COVID. And I decided just to travel around and just hang out in the outdoors. I skied every major ski resort. I went to almost every national park. I just drove the country. I said, I'm good. I don't need to run some big company. We can run it more profitably without all that stuff. We just liked making jobs. But if they're saying that they're going to mess with us like that, what's the incentive? Like, how do I know they're not going to lock down again? I don't know that. So I don't care. If they're going to play those games like Atlas Shrugged. You ever read Atlas Shrugged, Ayn Rand?
Yeah.
I'm just like, I'm chill. It's all good.
You gotta leave
they're-
California.
Yeah, I am. And they're demoralized. I want to move to Wyoming, actually. I want to ski. But they're demoralizing employers.
Yeah, it sucks. It's been horrible out there.
Why
But
are
they're
you
doing
still
that
there?
across. Yeah, they're doing that across.
LA
the
is pretty
board,
awesome.
though.
It actually is pretty awesome.
LA
but
is not really
It's
awesome.
super duper awesome. You're in the right place.
I've lived there.
Come visit sometime. I invite you guys.
I've
Come
lived
crash me in
in
LA.
LA.
I lived there for
You
a
guys
couple
got to
years.
come crash me in LA. It's a lot of fun. But
I've lived there for a couple of years. It's not awesome.
you got to live in the right place. But where'd you live?
I lived in Koreatown, I lived in Westwood, and I lived in North Hollywood.
Okay. Well, I hope you'll come visit sometime. I want to show you around. But okay, just come
You
visit.
lived in the
But-
right places, it
but-
turns out.
Yeah.
Turns out, yeah, and it was
apparently
awful.
had the wrong experience.
Yeah, but the point being is that Caruso might get in. We're all hoping for Rick Caruso. We're all praying
You're
for
still
Rick
going to have
Caruso.
Newsom, and he's a menace.
We just got to pray for Caruso.
All right. Well, check it
luck.
out. Check it out. Maybe from the Daily Wire. Superstar Katy Perry confirms she's voting for Rick Caruso. This is a guy, he's technically a Democrat, but he was a Republican until he decided, like a couple weeks before he decided to be, is that what happened?
I think so.
He was a Republican, then he's like, I'm going to run Democrat, switched parties, then ran. And now you got this big old picture of Katy Perry voting for what is effectively a Republican. So what does that mean? Does that mean there's hope She's got is that Jesus tattooed on her wrist? I mean, I'd be willing to bet that she's probably votes Republican in secret anyway.
She might. The other thing with Rick Caruso is that he owns the Grove Mall, which is the best mall in LA, and it's super duper clean. It's
He owns it?
I think so. So
The
we should
Grove is
probably
awesome.
Yeah, we should probably fact check that, but I think he does. So the thing is that the optics of this perfectly clean, like the most clean part of LA, and then kind of juxtaposing that against the rest of LA that's getting a little bit overrun. It's just the optics of it just feels good. Let's just make sure that I got that correct.
Caruso affiliated owns the Grove.
And the Grove is so beautiful, and everybody in LA loves it. So it's like this beautiful, clean place. So just seeing that is the perfect optics for somebody who cleaned
I
it
don't
up.
think there's anything that everyone in New York City loves. We have a couple
Central
of
Park?
malls. It's Central
Park. I lived in New York City. I grew up in New York City. I think everyone loves Central Park.
Probably. That might be the only thing.
But the Grove is so clean. So it's
Yeah.
this perfect. It's clean. It's orderly. Everybody in LA loves the Grove.
No, I've been
So-
to the Grove.
But now the cops arrest you and give you tickets if you're there past like 11 p.m. or 12 p.m. in New York City,
Park.
Central Park, which is absolutely draconian.
Well, and we're back
insane.
to the thing where
Yeah.
if you're a woman walking by yourself, you're
Yeah.
not walking through the park after dark.
Yeah,
Like we are back to that. I
you
was talking
can't.
to a friend of mine the
Yeah.
other night, and she's like, "I don't walk through McCarran Park after dark anymore."
Well, there was
can't-
that
And it
young
used
woman.
to be no issue at all.
That young woman at where's it? Columbia?
Yeah.
Was it? She got
Yeah.
murdered by those like teenagers or whatever.
Yeah, and she's not the only one. I mean, teenagers are out there killing people. There was
30
a young man on the subway, 14 years old, who was murdered by a gang of girls stealing his iPhone.
Whoa.
14.
Well,
just this kid.
how did they murder him? Like
They stabbed him to death.
Whoa.
Yeah.
And he didn't know them. They were not at all connected.
Yeah, in
just
New York
kill them.
City, when you need help from the cops, they're not there.
There are
and
no
many
cops.
times
There's
so
no
many.
cops
Yeah,
anywhere
there's so
anymore.
many
No,
instances.
hold on. When you are
Yeah.
by Trump Tower and you want to complain about Black Lives Matter in the street, the police
Okay.
are there to arrest you.
They're
Yeah,
there
of
for
course.
that,
Yes,
sure.
yes. I was finishing my statement there, and particularly also talking about how if there's a ticket to be written, they're there. They're going to do it. But if you need help, I know multiple instances where people were getting shot, stabbed, or beaten, and the cops were literally standing by and watching, not doing anything, not
But
intervening.
we need to make sure that these violent criminals who are committing these crimes are let out of jail because it's only fair, right? I mean, a cash bail is holding someone unreasonably, right?
Yeah, there's a
Yeah,
guy named
that's
there's a
what
guy
they,
named Matt. There's a guy named Matt Belinsky.
No, I want an answer to this statement.
What?
If you have someone committing crimes in New York, should we extend to them our principles of letting them out of jail instead of, or should we hold them?
That's not the same
I
argument.
don't have that principle of letting people out of jail.
So
I think people should
we
be locked up if they commit crimes.
But you got to prove it, right? You can't just arrest someone without proving it before a jury of their peers.
Okay, but
So-
that's
Do you believe that people should only be imprisoned if they're proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt?
probably not. I think probably you should be able to sit in jail waiting for your trial if you're a violent person.
So not
If
innocent
you've
until proven
committed a
guilty.
violent crime.
So the idea is the government shouldn't be allowed to put you in jail unless they've proven you've committed a crime. But what we've done in society is we've recognized there's actually like a gradient here. It's not absolute. And that is some people are so dangerous, we actually decide even before we've proven it, we're going to remand them and not release them. Now that's a challenge. I have an issue with that because my values are the government should not be able to put you in a box and lock it up unless they've proven beyond a reasonable doubt you've actually done something wrong, because innocent people do suffer because of this. However, I also recognize letting people out in this regard results in rampant violent crime, and I don't know what the solution is. But I can
Well,
tell you
there's been
cashless bail has only made things worse.
Yeah, they were supposed to do cashless bail only for non-violent offenders, and it hasn't really worked out that way because people will be let out of jail and 2 days later they're back in because they've killed somebody. We've seen this happen in Chicago and New York and all over the place.
And that means the
Seattle.
solution is people get put in jail for extended periods of time because the system can't handle it, even if they're not proven guilty. That's a problem.
That is a problem. And the court system should work a lot faster. Like you shouldn't be sitting there having a trial 2 years after you did the thing, or like, stuck in jail for the
I get
entire
that,
time.
But that's like, there was a story I saw where a Starbucks had huge lines going at the drive-thru into the street. So the city voted to ask Starbucks workers to work faster.
Oh, nice.
Like, if we don't have, if the city is so rife with crime and so dense that the court systems and the police can't actually properly adjudicate crimes, actually have bail hearings, then the whole system is just totally screwed up and busted. I don't even know how you fix it. So the problem we have now is our values, and this is what the progressives have been advocating for, in cities like LA, New York, and Chicago, and whatever, is you should not be able to imprison someone for any reason. I mean that in the colloquial sense, not the legal sense, unless you've proven it. And that includes a bail hearing. But because there's so much crime, you have people lined up and the judge is like, I don't have time for this. Remand, you're violent. Or a person's like, Your Honor, I argue he's not violent. Okay, fine, you can leave. No cash bail. Then they go murder people again. I think the problem is there is no, like, we can be as principled as we want to be. We have a very serious problem.
We do have a serious problem, and we have crime rising, even though we have Democrats telling us that that's just
It's
not
a
true.
conspiracy theory.
I'm
Right.
mostly in big cities these days, and I was at Surfside Tacos last night here in DC, or just close to here, and we got shot at actually last night. I'm not even kidding. Pow, 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 pow. Everybody's hitting the ground. Last night, getting a taco. I'm like, wow, I'm gonna go out, get a taco. What are my kids gonna think? No big deal. We all laughed it off, but it happened. My kids had to stop a robbery recently in Los Angeles, had to get in a fist fight. The mother of my kids. My buddy Sid got pistol whipped in New York and robbed for his watch right by a piano bar in New York.
I know right where that is.
Then he got clocked by another crazy guy in WeHo in Los Angeles. You walk down the street in LA and there is a huge homeless encampments of tents that just run all down Sunset Boulevard.
Well,
I mean, it's getting crazy.
You can't walk down the street. I don't know what you're talking about. Like, you can't walk down the street. Like, all the encampments literally block you from walking down the sidewalk.
Yeah, you have to actually walk onto. Yeah, what he's saying, you have to walk onto Sunset Boulevard.
Yeah.
And then you walk by the encampments.
Yeah.
And they're not. Look, they're nice. They haven't caused any problems. But what if I'm with my kids?
I'm not going to walk by that. Like if I'm walking around the city, and I see like a bunch of homeless junkies like nodding off, I cross the street. I'm not going to walk by that. I'm not going to do it. I'm not walking by with my kid, and I'm not walking by myself. Like,
Totally.
The risk reward scenario is it's just not there.
It's also
So hold on. So
weird.
like, what do we do about this?
What do we do
Do
about
we start
this?
arresting the open air drug
I don't,
markets?
we used to do that, right? So when Giuliani came into office in New York City in 93 or something like that, he started cleaning up the city by doing exactly that. He was just started arresting people for
Sounds
selling drugs.
authoritarian.
And it was, it was pretty severe. And I remember at the time being like, what is this? Why? No. But the city turned into a paradise within about 15 years, and it was spectacular to live there.
Yeah.
That
It was
sounds-
very effective.
It sounds authoritarian.
It does sound authoritarian, but I mean, I think when you're talking about a big city, when you're talking about millions of people living on top of one another who need to have a safe place to walk and, safe streets, safe parks, safe places to walk around in to do their business and all of that.
And this is my argument.
Lock people up. But at this point, too, we have a much different situation because we've completely decriminalized marijuana.
And this is right. So this is my argument when it comes to people like Ethan and Kathy Griffin. When they're actively advocating against
I
our
see
rights
what you
to
did
free
there.
speech, I say they're banned. Okay, good riddance. Like, if someone is innocent in New York City and they get arrested, I hope they are not held. And that's why I don't like the idea of cash bail. That a poor person who's in the wrong place at the wrong time gets arrested and the state is just like, too bad for you. That's screwed up.
Yeah.
But now we see what happens when you have cashless bail. People are being pushed in front of subway trains.
People
And
are being slashed.
So I don't know. Security versus freedom. I lean towards Second Amendment. The issue, however, is you want to err on the side of stop violence, meaning more innocent people get locked up, or err on the side of protecting the innocent, meaning more bad people go free. We tend to err on the side of bad people going free. But
We
at
have
a certain
a situation
point,
now, too.
At a certain point, we just say, if we know the person is violent and actively sowing like violence, destruction, we remand them. If you've got people like, these prominent leftists who are going to advocate against speech and cheer for censorship, we say remand them. When they get censored, I'm not letting them out. That can be adjudicated somewhere else.
Yeah, I mean, we have a system that incentivizes crime, incentivizes some of the worst behaviors while making citizens defenseless. That's a major problem that, of course, we need to talk about more, because if people were able to defend themselves, if people weren't being prosecuted by George Soros district attorneys that punish people for self-defense, it would be a totally different landscape. If politicians and the school system and the education system weren't incentivizing a lot of this violent nonsense, I don't think we would be in this kind of system. So I think the problem is very complex. I think it can't just be solved in one simple conversation or in one simple phrase. But at the end of the day, I think the government's making it a lot worse than that.
I have
more government wouldn't make it better, in my opinion.
I have an analogy that I used for Ian. Ian really loves this. He's into science. I was imagining living in New York City, and I was imagining when I did live there. I lived on Myrtle and Nostrand in this apartment building in a small, 700 square foot box with people to my top, left, right, and behind me and below me. And then I was just like, man, I can't play music here. You can't. You can get an acoustic guitar and you can play during certain hours. You can't play drums.
Right.
You can get practice pads or maybe an electric kit and then put headphones on or something. But you can't be noisy. And what I started to think was, as people get pushed closer, you have this, as an individual, you have this bubble of freedoms around you. As you get further and further away from other people, that bubble grows and grows and grows, where you're not impeding on anybody else's life. As you move closer and closer to people, the bubble starts getting pressed upon by other people's bubbles. So Ian loved us because said it was like rural people are basically like gaseous, bouncing around all crazy, having all this freedom, having a good time. And then as you move closer and closer to the city, it becomes more solid, where you literally can't do anything. You can't be noisy. You can't be up too late. You can't blast the stereo.
You can't have your guns.
Can't have your guns. Can't cook stinky foods because there's too many people around you. You are solidified in this block that's rigid and controlled. And I think the problem is there is no ideological or policy solution to population density. There's none. You recognize that if you live in a big city, there's going to be too much crime because there's too many people, and the police and the courts won't be able to handle it properly. So I think it's fair to say there's no simple solution.
Well,
Either you increase security or you let crime run rampant.
You do give up a lot of
Well, there's been an incentivized program within the last few decades pushing people to live in cities, wanting people to live on top of each other.
Yes.
I think that kind of lifestyle has been glorified. I think there's been a lot of manipulation to make it seem like it's trendy, like it's cool, like it's hip, when in reality, it's an absolute hellscape where police officers try to steal your money to generate revenue for the state, while, of course, making sure you're defenseless as the crackhead who stabs you, as they're literally sitting there watching you
right,
bleed
but
out.
it doesn't have to be like that.
That's
And
life in New York City. But that's life in New York City.
It wasn't like that before. It wasn't like that.
It wasn't like that in the 90s? Because I grew up in New York City in the 90s.
It was like that in the 90s.
Thank you, Libby. It was.
And then it changed and got better.
It got
and
more
now
authoritarian.
It's back to like that
Broken
again.
windows policing.
Yes, that's
and
right.
And crime dropped dramatically.
Stop and frisk.
Did it, or was it just the reporting? Because we also have to understand here, the New York City Police
People
Department
were not
manipulates
being pushed into the subway tracks
reporting.
like that.
Yes, of course. But I'm saying crime goes in waves. But
Yeah,
when there's a
that's
program, and there's been an epidemic of New York City police officers that have been downgrading particular crimes to make it seem like it's not a big issue. Yeah. Whether it's assaults, it was simple batteries. Whether it's robberies, it was just a small petty theft. And a lot of the times, police officers got caught lessening the crimes in order to make their precinct look like it was good and tough on crime, when in reality there was a lot of crime. And what essentially Giuliani did, he violated a lot of people's civil rights, but he also contained the crime in particular areas and essentially pushed it away. And it still continued, but it only continued in certain neighborhoods.
Yes, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
They turned Manhattan into a glorious playground.
For the super rich.
Yes.
Yes.
And for those of us who wandered about in it.
Yes.
Let's talk about tomorrow. We have this story from space.com. What is a blood moon, published 3 days ago? My friends, at 3:02 a.m. Eastern Time, the blood moon will begin. For those of you on the West Coast, it will be at 12:02 a.m. It's fascinating. When I first heard that a blood red moon would be happening on a full moon on the day of the midterm elections, signifying a great red beacon, I was like, wow, that's literally the definition of ominous. But then I thought, 3 a.m. though? What does that mean? 3 a.m.? That's not ominous at all. And then I realized, Pacific time. Mm-hmm. That means when the sun, when the day starts for the contiguous United States, and everyone is now in November 8th, the day of the midterms, the moon will turn blood red. And it was funny too, because I don't know if it was you, Luke, who mentioned this. It's not a blue moon.
Yeah.
And there is a blue moon.
Yes.
It's the second full moon in the month, and we're not having that. We're having a blood moon. So the blood moon is coming. And this one's for all of you, my friends, because people are referring to it as the MAGA moon. I Google searched the spiritual meaning of the blood moon, and I would like to read for you the opening sentence. The ancient Incans and Mesopotamians believed the blood moon was an omen portending death and overthrow of the king.
How about that?
Yo, what is up?
That's
crazy.
That's really
And
wild.
this is going to be happening in a few hours.
Yeah.
And this is also the same day that a lot of people on social media are saying that Donald Trump will announce that he's going to be running for president in 2024. I'm watching his speech right now in Dayton, Ohio, and there's also news that the entire Trump family is going to be in attendance for this speech.
Oh my
I'm watching,
goodness.
It's gonna happen.
I'm watching the speech now, and I'm monitoring social media. But there's a lot of symbolism here, and I think it's fair to say that there's going to be a lot of crazy things in our social political discourse that are going to be very eye-opening in the next few hours. So definitely pay attention to what's going on here. I know I'm closely paying attention to all the details as they're unfolding here.
Yeah,
Everyone's on their
it's
cell
gonna be
phones now seeing
insane. We're
what's
like,
going on social
what?
media.
No, I'm just
but I'm
checking
keeping
in
an eye on
with
it.
my,
I'm
checking
keeping
in
an eye
with
on
the
it.
crew at the Post Millennial who are totally
We just got to
tracking
wait
this
as soon
right
as we
now.
get word if Trump announces, because he's not going to be speaking for.
I told them to message me.
I'm keeping an eye on
When's the
it.
rally over?
I don't know, but
gonna
he's
keep
talking
going forever. I
Yeah,
mean, the
he
other
talks-
night he
he
talked
talks
in
for
the
a
rain
while.
for 15
So okay,
minutes.
Yeah.
but let me ask you guys. When you see stuff like a blood moon, a red moon, right when the day starts, on the midterms when people are calling for a red wave, and the omen is that a blood moon signifies the overthrow of the king. How do you guys feel about that?
I think it's
do you
a lot of
believe
fun.
it? It's
I just
fun.
think it's a lot of fun. You know,
Yeah.
I don't know if I believe in all of the things having some sort of
I say when you
super universe.
Is it also a full
connection
moon?
or whatever?
Yes.
So
But
that's
yeah,
going to be
it's
another
a
major
full moon.
issue because I have a lot of friends and family that work in emergency services, and they tell me every time it's a full moon,
Yeah,
we
they
know it's
do.
going to be a full
I've
work
heard
day.
about
We
that
know there's
too.
going to be a lot of people losing their ish. So there is there's a lot
Is
of
that
ingredients
actually
here.
verified? Is that true?
Well, that's what my friends and family told
It
me.
is true.
I've heard this as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I have
But
I have
it's-
some
it's-
family
but-
members that are nurses, some that are police officers, and they tell me like full moon, it gets crazy.
There's a simple
Wow.
explanation. It's very bright during a full moon.
Yeah, more
You-
light.
Yeah,
You can
it's-
go
it's-
around and do stuff.
That's right.
Yeah.
During a new moon, I mean, everybody who lives outside of a city knows this. You don't need to. But the crazy thing is, people in cities really don't get it. There's that famous story where the power went out in LA in the 90s, and everyone started calling 911 because there was a strange thing in the sky. It was the Milky Way they'd seen for the first time in their lives.
That's funny.
It's crazy. But for a lot of people who live outside of a city, you know, like there's moon shadow. People in cities it's permanent illumination. They don't even
Right.
realize the moon
Same
casts
every
a
day.
shadow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, my friends and family reported a lot of people just going crazy, losing their mind, a lot of mental health calls, a lot of people just going absolutely berserk and crazy. So that with the elections, with possibly Trump announcing, with this blood red moon, with turbulence.
Wait.
in our
Someone
social
super
discourse.
chatted. Araftis of Stet said that 3 a.m. is the witching hour.
Oh,
It is.
That's
Yep.
right.
So
It
what are,
is.
what are the statistical chances that a blood moon could be on the same night as this? How often does the blood moon happen?
It's gonna
5 years.
It's like
Yeah,
every, yeah,
5
Once every
years.
5 years? Are
Yeah.
you guys atheists? You believe in God? What do you believe in?
I believe in God. I'm not. I don't believe in any organized religion, though. But it's things like this. I'll say, this in and of itself is not enough to convince me of a great power beyond or anything like that, because coincidences happen. I mean, people win the lottery. But what are the chances of something like? I look, blood moons happen, elections happen. I would love to see someone break down the probability of the blood moon happening at 12:02 a.m. Pacific on the day of an election. Like, we know when our elections are going to be. They're all pre-planned. It's like the first Tuesday or whatever, of the month of November. And then we know when full moons are going to be because we can track mathematically very simply. What's the probability of that occurring? Is it going to be like one every 17,000 years, one every 3 years? What or 5 years with the blood moon? It's certainly not because it would happen every single time. But what if it's like really common? What if it's like actually, every third or fourth blood moon is probably going to fall on a November Tuesday or whatever? I kind of feel like it's extremely rare. Maybe somebody knows the math. I don't know. I see stuff like that.
Don't know the math.
It's things like this that you see enough of, and eventually they're just like, there's too many weird things like that happen to just believe we're in some random chaotic universe. There's some kind of structure to all of this.
I 100% think it means something. 100%.
What all the stuff combined means something.
I do.
You think the
Witching
blood
hour,
moon means-
blood moon,
There's
election
a
day.
lot of really, really bad stuff happening in the past couple of years, as you guys are aware of.
But there's always a lot of really bad stuff
Not-
happening.
No,
Not like this.
it's
No.
been
No,
bad the
there's-
last few years.
There's always a
Not
lot
like
of really.
this.
No.
If you,
It just depends on where you're standing and what you're looking at.
that I agree with, but
Maybe,
what's been
but-
happening here is next
Yeah.
level.
It's
I
been wild.
Yeah,
think it's
Ukraine,
always
COVID.
pretty bad.
But
It's always. I mean, you guys. I mean, the thing is, it's kind of always like this.
I wish we could dig deeper
This
into
is
it.
what
We're not,
humanity is.
We're
Like
not,
we're constantly facing.
I think the sad thing
existential
is we
crises.
can't even dig too deep into some of the things going on, but it's just sad. I mean, there's crazy stuff happening. And,
Sure, but
and
there's literally always crazy stuff
the
happening.
thing is, right now,
technology is always moving extremely
technology is
quickly.
moving so quickly right
That's
now.
always happening.
Yeah, but I'm just trying to evaluate what we can get into
This
here,
whole
but
thing of like weird an inflection point in history that Biden is always talking about, like I think it's always this nuts. When I talk to, my grandparents have passed, but they used to talk about all kinds of crazy things happening. Like they had World War II, they had the Holocaust, for goodness sakes. They had the Great Depression. My grandfather was like mucking around in the woods of Billerica, Massachusetts to forage for mushrooms to feed his family.
Right.
And by the time he was an older man, like if he looked at a mushroom, he would retch. Like stuff is always nuts.
Let me read this. In the Western Christian tradition, the hour between 3 a.m. and 4 a.m. was considered a period of peak supernatural activity. This time is also referred to as the devil's hour due to it being a mocking inversion of time in which Jesus supposedly died, which was 3 p.m.
Right. That's like the whole reverse. Like everything in scripture is reversed in order to make it satanic. You have like the black mass that happens, in the middle of the night and all of this stuff. But also in ye olden times, that's when people would wake up because they would go to bed after it got dark and then they would kind of wake up in the middle of the night.
Correct.
And do stuff and then go back to bed.
What does the omen portend? Does it mean that at some point in the next 3 years, so it's not, I don't think it's once every 5 years. I think that's on average. I'm not sure. I was reading a couple articles. But I think, the blood moon. The blood moon might be once every 5. But there's going to be another total lunar eclipse 3 years later. So we have this blood moon, and then we have this 3-year period. Maybe it's meaningless. I don't know.
All I can think is that song. You remember that song, Total Eclipse of the Heart?
Yep.
That's all I can think of right now. It's running through my head. So I think it's a lot of fun. I don't know that I put a lot of stock in all of the various, portents or whatever like that. But I do think that it makes it a little bit extra exciting to think about.
So here's what it says. Let's just
interesting.
we'll get some science here. They say a blood moon happens when Earth's moon is in a total lunar eclipse. While it has no special astronomical significance, the view in the sky is striking as the usually whitish moon becomes red or ruddy brown. Lunar eclipses can only happen during a full moon when the sun fully illuminates the surface. Usually a full moon has no eclipse because the moon orbits in a slightly different plane than the Earth and the sun. However, at times the planes coincide. Earth passes in between the moon and the sun and cuts off sunlight, causing an eclipse. So what makes it red? During a full eclipse, the moon is in the Earth's shadow, blah, blah, blah. A red moon appears can depend on how much pollution. Is that what it is? Is it just pollution? Blood moon calendar. Okay, here we go. So there was actually another one this year, 16th of May. Did anything happen on May 16th?
I don't recall.
November 8th. The next will be March 14th, 2025. And then September 7th, 2025. And then March 3rd, 2026. I don't know.
I'm checking my date book.
Just one day it lines up, huh? So that's the thing. Like, what's the likelihood of this blood moon lining up on election day? At a time when people are calling for a red wave and expecting Republicans to win, and
Well, it can't be. It says in the bottom right there, it can't be anything but pollution because Christopher Columbus used it apparently back in the day.
Yeah.
So it can't.
I guess they're saying
something else.
pollution makes it look more red.
Oh, okay, I understand. Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember anything on those dates at all.
May 16th, I was on your show 2 days later,
Oh man, that's real bad news.
right?
That means you're
I
going
just
to be
checked
doing
my
all the
date
chaos.
book, right? It was all my fault.
So we have this
Libby.
video basically explaining it. Los Angeles, before the moon sets. We actually, where we are, it looks like the moon's gonna go in an arc over the mountains, so we'll be able to like track it. We're gonna try and film it, see if we can get it. It's crazy. I remember, sometimes I remember seeing several blood moons throughout my life and just not even realizing it was like what it was or what was going on. It's like, oh, blood moon. I didn't realize that was today. You just look at the moon and it's terrifying.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty scary.
So
What do you think?
Who's
Owen?
getting overthrown?
Yeah, I mean, I hope the people in charge, but only
they're
time
really
will tell.
bad at being in charge. They're terrible at it.
Well, I don't know.
Yeah,
I think
I
it all depends on perspective. Some would say what they're doing is absolute genius because they kind of make excuses and they make it look like an old man who's not really well is really in charge of everything. When in reality, I don't think that's the case at all. But I was going to throw it at you, Owen, because you were talking about do you believe in God? What about you? What do you believe in?
I do. And the thing is that as you're on your journey, I think that you'll see these things that'll come up in your field of experience that are like one in millions. And you'll see this again and again and again. As you keep down that path, you'll see this repeatedly. And you'll question it because you're like, this is impossible. How could this be? And I've just seen too much of this as I've gotten older. It's I don't even like talking about it. I feel like it cheapens it. It's just one of those things that you'll experience. Like even when you were saying, like I almost don't even want to pipe in because I feel like there's just certain things that happen that cheapens it if you go too deep into it. But there's just certain coincidences that are so intense and so crazy as you move on. And I think this is one of them. I think things are happening now personally. So we'll see. Let's look back in a couple of years. We'll find out.
I think that human beings have a propensity to feel like they are at the pinnacle of history and are at the end of human existence.
I thought you made a great point about the Holocaust and all these other terrible things happen. I thought you had a great point there.
Yeah, I did. I can make more of them too.
I'd like to.
We like to find patterns in things.
Yeah, it's part of what we do. So.
But then some of these things as you're on your journey will be these 1 in a million coincidences that let you do things that are so unbelievable. And so it's one of these things where you'll become more, like, I would encourage you just to even continue to look for these things. I think that you're on a great journey, and I think you'll see them if you look.
All right, man. Thanks.
Sounds like you took it real serious. But just keep your eye open.
How many of you bought Powerball tickets?
I did not.
I did not.
You
I
didn't?
did not.
Isn't like
I meant to, but I didn't realize I had to do it today.
$1.9 billion. Yeah,
Yeah.
11 p.m. is when they're doing the drawing.
didn't
Just
someone
rush out
say
the
My
door and
friend
go to the gas
asked me
station.
to get one, and I didn't.
Didn't someone say that the lottery is pretty much a tax on the poor?
Yeah.
It
Yeah,
is
it is.
basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like the money goes to the state. We were talking about this yesterday. I'm like, if I win the lottery, how much of that money actually goes to me? How much of it goes to the state? How would I feel
Half
knowing
of
that
half.
I'm giving so much of that money to the state? Like,
There's
I'd feel horrible.
There's another joke. How come college students never win the lottery?
Why?
They're too smart to play.
Or
It's an old
too
joke.
poor.
The reason why you always hear these stories of old people winning the lottery, it's because they play all the time. And young people are like, I'm not buying a lottery ticket.
I have never bought a lottery ticket.
It's a
You've never
status.
bought one?
It's a status Ponzi scheme.
gambling.
that
That's all
takes
it is.
away
Do
your
You know
money.
why? Like the reason I've never bought a lottery ticket is that I have been concerned I would get obsessed and then always buy a lottery ticket.
Think about this: $1.9 billion. The cash payout is $929 million.
Yeah, no, I
People's
was
lives
gonna
are-
buy one today.
Here's the thing: like
I had been talked into it. So.
people's lives get destroyed by the lottery.
Yeah.
Because they don't understand what happens when you have money. For people who've grown up around it or earned their way into it slowly, you see this. Like, imagine this. I'll tell you guys. When you start becoming more and more successful, people around you become evil as evil can possibly be, and you learn who your true friends really are. And then you also learn, who was like never really a friend, but they really want free stuff. But it is unsurprising. I mean, I should say it was surprising to me to discover how many people that you think are your friends turn out to be just extremely evil.
Yep.
But imagine one day you don't just earn your way into it and experience it slowly over time where you're like, I can't believe someone would do that to me. This is crazy. And then after 5 years of you continually being wealthy and successful, you're like, I get it. I got to be on guard and hire lawyers and have police, have security guards. Imagine one day you're working class and next thing you're worth $900 million, knives out. All the evil people instantly at once draw their blades for you. It's insane.
look what just-
Wait,
look what
just
just
really quick,
happened
I
to,
just want to make a really,
yeah.
really quick point here. I dated a girl who won the lottery, and she was like, I wish I never won it because it ripped her family apart. Yeah. And a lot of people who win the lottery, they're miserable because of it, and they lose the money very quickly as well. So
what did she win? Like millions or something?
yeah, tens of millions.
Yeah, Aaron Carter, the younger brother of Nick Carter from the Backstreet Boys, just died. And you'll see a lot of this in, I mean, again, coming from LA, you see a lot of people that come into fame quickly. And there's two different types of people that come into fame. It's, someone like, pretty much you guys at this table where you've had to kind of earn your way up and it's kind of a grind. But some people sort of get plucked up by the establishment and they get put into a fame, base.
yeah.
And they do have talent. I'm not trying to say that it's binary. They do have talent, but they get plucked up so quickly and put into fame so quickly.
Well, he was 9 when he did his first video.
That's what I'm saying,
Yeah.
right? And so what can happen is that they get hooked on drugs, they get too many fake friends around them, they get ungrounded. And in personal growth and in self-help, the biggest thing that they talk about all the time is that if you win the lottery, it just destroys your life. You have to actually have the psyche of somebody who's wealthy to be able to maintain it.
I'm 100% sure I could handle it.
You guys
Well,
ready
it's-
for something?
Yeah,
Someone
let's-
just super chatted this to me. Jay Wood, shout out. Trump was born during a blood moon, June 14th.
No,
1946.
Oh, really?
Check it out. Here it is on
Wait,
Wikipedia.
1946?
Check it out. Born
that
Donald
when he
J.
was-
Trump, June 14th, 1946. I looked it up.
Wow.
June 14th,
Wow.
1946, lunar eclipse. Right there. And there it is, the blood moon.
That could
So
be why
is
he
he
could
announcing?
announce today.
Is he
That could be why he could be announcing today.
He's going to announce at 3 a.m. He's going to talk nonstop. And at 3 a.m. be like, did the moon change yet? I'm running, everybody.
He's still talking right now. I'm watching him talk right now.
Anyway, back to the lottery stuff's interesting. So,
Well, it's also a psyche of being at the effect, right? It's like these shows like, these shows that pluck up the average person and make them famous or things like that, or reality TV, or taking people that aren't that talented and making them famous. It's more of this idea that the establishment, like you're at the effective life, then the big establishment, which is kind of like this sort of like pimp hoe relationship. They come up, they pluck you up, and then they make you famous. The way to get success is not by grinding it out. It's by just being this like perfectly compliant person, then they'll just pluck you up and make you famous.
Yeah, if Harvey Weinstein's happy with you, you're going to get the role.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? If Les Wexner is happy with you, you're going to get that modeling gig at Victoria's Secret. You know, if Mr. Epstein or Mr. Clinton are happy with you, you might get that good political job in the White House.
It's also why a lot of bad governments get elected, because people are in that kind of psychology. So one of the biggest things to actually changing what kind of governments get elected is teaching people to think for themselves. And I think that's actually the battle of the coming century, is teaching people to think for themselves. Teaching them not to use groupthink as a easy out to thinking.
And when you take someone, especially like a child, and you make them like a Disney star, you see horrible ramifications when you do that, when you just throw them into fame. And these parents that just give their child to these den of vipers in Hollywood. Seriously, I mean, when you look at Hollywood, there's a lot of, we're talking about spiritual stuff. There's a lot of satanic, evil, devilish elements inside of Hollywood and in Washington, D.C., where, of course, the biggest amount of psychopaths kind of coalesce. And then they prey on the innocent. They take people and then they bring them into, and they give them all this money and all this fame. They can't handle it. And then they prey on their weaknesses and their mistakes. And that's the entire establishment industry that we're dealing with right now.
There are a lot of parents, though, who intentionally exploit their children for, various financial gain. And that's
crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. But they do it not just in Hollywood. They do it all over the place.
Yeah, like Dwayne Wade,
Yeah, like Dwayne Wade. Yeah, like
is being accused of with
doing
his
that.
model child.
Right.
Yeah.
Trans
I think he's also just very
child.
bought into a certain narrative. Dwayne Wade seems like a
I
very,
think
very...
Gabriel Union helped.
Yeah, like Dwayne Wade looks like an exceedingly positive person, but I think he's very bought into a certain narrative.
I think so, too. I also... I've recently been like, I think there's an issue with stepmothers. I know there's some good stepmothers, but I think it's an issue. I don't know. I've been thinking about that myself.
The crazy thing I would tell people about stuff like lottery wins, it used to be that people would lose the money really, really fast. They would waste it on insane things, and then their lives would be destroyed by it. Recently, because of documentaries talking about this, people have instantly started going to financial advisors and then getting things set up in order. But the one thing you can't advise away from is humanity. That it's not even about, you can't, like, I'll tell you, man, if you won $929 million, that actually sounds nightmarish. You're going to have people trying to kill you. You're not going to, so like we get this all the time with death threats, swattings, bomb threats. It's nuts. Imagine not having any experience with it, not having dealt with this level of insanity, and all of a sudden one day overnight, it's like, oh, someone's going to try and kill you. Actually, tons of people are going to try and kill you. They know where you live. They announced you won. Good luck.
Or they just become infatuated by you and then want to love you and become so centered on you that they make you the focus of their life, and then they become destructive in that way. But one of the smartest things that I saw was an announcement for someone who won the lottery, and he decided to wear the Scream mask. And he's literally getting the check, because some lotteries make you have the photo, make you, of course, sign a lot of documents, do a lot of PR, do a lot of news interviews. He says, I'm not doing any of that. I'm putting on a mask. He was photographed with the mask, and it's one of the smartest things that I've ever seen.
Anonymous
He's like, I don't want family members bothering me.
It's
I'll
also,
help my family.
People
but
think happiness is about a certain amount of money. It's really about having a beautiful ecosystem, purpose in life, and great friends and stuff. And so if you're in an ecosystem of people that aren't used to that kind of wealth, and that's who you're surrounded by, there's this thing we call it an RAS flip. So it's reticular activation system. It actually explains why people on the left or the right see the world differently. It's called RAS, reticular activation system. It's selective focus. We see the world very, very differently. Right. We don't believe what we see what we believe. And so we have very, very selective focus. So if, Tim, you mentioned that you had a lot of people turn evil on you as you got success. I had a similar experience. It's actually heartbreaking, and it's confusing as hell if you've never experienced it. And so what happens is that...
And like, they don't ask for anything. They just instantly become evil. It's crazy.
It's terrifying. And it's some of your best friends. And it's not even that they've hurt you. It's that real friends stab you in the back. And it's dehumanizing.
And it's not about politics. Like, obviously, for political reasons, people are at odds today. But in my experience, it's like for literally no reason. Maybe it's jealousy.
Yeah. So what it is called an RAS flip. So basically, as your value changes, what they see in you changes. So reticular activation system, just look this up. I would advise anybody to look this up. It's selective focus. Once you get this, you see why people see the world differently. We have very, very selective focus. We don't believe what we see what we believe. And it's like if you have a breakup with a significant other, and at first they idealize you because they're getting something from you. Later in a breakup, they say that there was 100 experiences. Let's just to be a round number, right? 98 of them are positive, 2 are negative. Well, then when they like you, they focus on the 98 positive. Then if you break up and it hurts, then they focus more on the 2 negative ones. They RAS flip.
A year later, you forget the bad things, start to remember all the good things, and
Yes.
then wonder why you broke up.
100%. And so, and that's why it's human to do that. But you're getting that same effect as you've gained success. That's why you've seen that. People are having RAS flips. They're seeing things differently. Once you study this and you basically just understand RAS, it clarifies a ton.
What about have you seen anything like that?
Absolutely. Time and time again, we were just talking about this yesterday, and it's real. A lot of people have this kind of illusion. A lot of people are hypnotized that money and fame are something that is everything in life, when in reality, it's usually a burden more than it is a gift to anything else. And
unless you grow into it.
Yeah. But essentially, when people just focus just on that and not the journey and not their life and not the experiences and not the loved ones that they have around them, and they just focus, I want money, I want fame, they destroy everything in their pathway. And when they do get it, they're more miserable than anyone else.
Yeah, the Bhagavad Gita, which is a major Eastern text, talks about the process being everything. Or, Eckhart Tolle, Power of Now, it's about being present, being in the now, the process itself. The Bible, they talk about the same thing. Tao Te Ching, they talk about the same thing. The beauty of life is in the present moment, the unfolding of the journey, the energy, and money is a great thing too. But it's just one component.
Yes, absolutely. But
keep it all a secret. If you win that 1.9 billion, that's the only thing I can say is just whatever.
Don't tell anybody about it.
Yeah, don't tell anybody. But you know what the problem is? That people are inexperienced with this stuff, so they want to tell people. They don't get it. They don't understand.
And they don't have the money managers, so the government and the state takes 52% of all of it. Do what Bill Gates does. Get a nonprofit, get an organization that you run, donate all the money there, and then you could do whatever you want with the money.
No, it's sort of.
Well, you could double your wealth, just like
Didn't
Bill
this
Gates
happen
did.
to MC Hammer? Remember,
MC Hammer, Mike Tyson.
Yeah, he lost all his money.
Mike Tyson
right
lost
away.
all of his money. A lot of
MC Hammer gave
pro
it away.
athletes.
One of my staff who got very wealthy very quickly, he actually blew all his money. He used to call it hammer time. When he'd go out to blow all his money, he'd call it hammer time. He'd say, I MC hammered all my money. He MC hammered about $1 million.
Wow.
Wow.
He's
Just
okay.
partying.
He's made it back.
Yeah.
But yeah, he had a fun year.
It's crazy, man. It really is nuts, and it's not about money. It's just like if crabs in a bucket, maybe jealousy. I don't know.
It's the RAS flip. It's your value changes, and then it tweaks their perception of you.
But why would that go
objectify you?
negative?
This is a really deep topic, but simple version would be, it kind of hijacks the part of the brain that's very in the physical. And so you want to think of it like mind, body, and soul, right? And so it gets them kind of into their body. The body is inherently kind of sociopathic. If you look at like a nature documentary, the animals are killing each other, eating each other. Look at the ocean, the fish are eating each other. So people can kind of go into that mode. And it's unfortunate because politicians actually manipulate this, right? If you can keep everybody in that kind of primitive mode, then you can get them voting in bad policies. This is why critical thinking and personal growth is going to be the major battle of the next 100 years, I think.
So weird, though. Like, why don't they feel that way about Obama?
Because he's placating them.
But how? I mean, like, look, my point is this. When I say that people turn evil, it's like without rhyme or reason. People in my life.
What's an example?
I'll try and give a light example of some guy I've known since I was a teenager. We used to hang out all the time, skate together. We were roommates briefly. Just instantly started smack talking me online, lying about everything. Going to people and trying to, I don't know. I think that may have been like, hey, they thought maybe they could get famous or something by claiming they knew me.
So what it is that in personal growth, we would say that we live in the same physical reality, but we live in parallel energetic realities. And so what's happened is you've entered into a different energetic reality, and they're just living in a different reality. It's like if you took somebody homeless and you bring them into a mansion, they might still be doing drugs in the bathroom, right? They're not just gonna be looking at the view. So what happened is you created a disconnect with them. Even if you work with people and then you keep elevating and they're not, you'll see there's a natural split. It just can't hold together and goes, but
I guess my point is like, why doesn't a person hold the negative view of other high status people, especially high status people who are like deeply involved in controversial things?
Because you're close to them, right? But it's almost like, what amount of money would have to be on this table before you'd get uncomfortable? Would it be like if there's a billion if there was you might not because you're a principled person, but if there was $1 billion sitting right there, would you start getting any adrenaline or no?
No.
Okay. Well, there's a point where everybody.
You?
Okay.
No,
well,
it's just money.
What would be so much value to you that if it was sitting right there, you'd start to be like, whoa. Nothing.
I don't understand.
So you're a very,
What
very,
kind
very
of-
principled
I don't
person.
understand
What do you
what you
mean?
mean,
What do
yeah.
you mean?
Well, there's a point where people just go crazy, right? So it's like what's people's breaking point to where they'll break their principles? So one hobby that I have, I run seminars, is usually they try to kick me out about midnight. And so I'll go to the person that wants to shut down the room and I'll say, could I stay a bit longer? They're like, no, I can't. I say, what about if I give you $20? And they're like, no,
see.
I can't. And then I say, what if I give you $500? And then they're like, oh, of course, just stay here. So they crack. The average person's principles cracks under pressure. But the reason why you've been independently successful is you have strong principles. So they may not have had that opportunity or focus on personal evolution. They probably never had that
You have to
discussion with
value
themselves.
your principles in the first place.
That's amazing that you've done that. That's
Like, that's
amazing
a
you've done that. But the
different
average
thing.
person is not doing that. They're not taught to. They're taught to look at TikTok.
I think it's an issue of confidence too. I mean, if someone look, I worked for a big evil media corporation. They said lie. I said no, and they were like, play ball. I was like, no, and they offered me a lot of money. I was like, I don't care, dude. Look, I have confidence in myself, and I know what I need. And so I guess the issue is, perhaps some people are evil and some people aren't. And the evil activates only in certain capacities. That is, when presented with power, with power that they could gain. So for me, if I was, the way I often describe it is, if you're buck naked in the middle of the woods, that's baseline. That's zero. You have nothing. But you're actually not dying. You're just, you're slowly heading towards a dark place. Now, if you're buck naked in the middle of the woods, you got a pointy stick. Now you're up. You're up one. So you actually got something there. For all of us here in this country, we're at like 17 million. Because even as poor as you are, you've got you standing on a street corner. The government's going to give you got clean running water available to you. You walk into McDonald's, you get clean running water. You've got government services up the wazoo. They're just giving people free stuff. So it's like we are so far detached from baseline in this country. There was you're rich just being here. That's how I've always seen it.
I think that makes sense.
I always
But
feel like that too. Like when you walk into the grocery store. Do you ever walk into the grocery? So I used to do a lot of acid, and I would go to the grocery store, and I would be like,
All right, Ian.
well, whatever. But I'd go to the grocery store, and I'd be like, the bounty here is unbelievable. I mean, it's just
So
it's
that there
glorious.
is called.
And when you look at that, when you look at how much we have in this country, like it's very humbling. And I think that has a lot to do with it.
is gratitude. So that's beautiful that your state of consciousness experiences gratitude. Many people do not experience gratitude.
More. It's not just that. Like Tim, you were saying, maybe some people are just evil, and I think very fully that all of us are capable of being the most evil, horrible people that the world has ever seen. And you have to recognize this. You have to recognize your capability for total horror, for total evil, to be just the worst person possible.
I don't think so.
And then you have to be like, okay, I am capable of this. We are all capable of this. That's a very humbling place to be. And then you go about not
I
being
disagree.
it, and you find the light, and you
I completely
you know,
disagree.
You go with the light.
I don't think every person is capable of evil. Perhaps a lot of people are.
I think that evil is inherent. I mean, I think that it's,
I don't. I think there's sociopaths, and I think a lot of people can't even justify or rationalize and understand what the bigger politicians and people in charge are doing because they can't see themselves doing it themselves.
I see what you guys are saying, but I also see what
when
you're.
you see people that you love, right? When you see people who you love treat other people just absolutely evilly and with just horribly, and like, I love this person is capable of love, and they're treating this other person who I also care about like so terribly, you can see how badly this can turn out. You can see how they don't
disagree.
mean it.
I think what you're
that they're
talking
doing
about
it.
is a disowned shadow, right? So you're saying to recognize that in yourself
You
and
have to
beat
recognize
it
that
and beat it.
Yeah, well, you just have to be humble in the face of that.
I
You
think
just have to know what you're capable
I
of, both
think-
in
I think
glory
you're confusing
and
things.
Yeah, I don't think so.
So typically when you have like a family member mistreating a family member, they don't think they're a bad guy mistreating a family member. They might, like, maybe you've got a dad who's yelling at your sister. Well, the dad is yelling at her, and I'm talking about in a typical family context, not an abusive context. Like, if there's a father who is mercilessly beating his child, congratulations, you found the evil person.
Right.
I don't think every human is capable of being that way.
I think every human is
No.
capable of it. I don't think
I
every human succumbs to it.
I don't think they're capable of it.
But I think that everyone is capable of being a monster
I
in some form or another. I think everyone is capable
disagree.
of that. Yeah,
I think
so.
some people are and some people aren't. I think some people are completely incapable of being that monster.
Well, there's also something called cluster B, right? Which anti-personality disorder, narcissistic, borderline, all that stuff.
Whole
So
thing.
yeah, so there's levels. There's levels to all of this, right? There's levels to trauma that you've experienced as a kid, your upbringing, the fact that 100 years ago people might be reading the Bible, they're probably not now. There's a lot to this. It's a very good topic.
Perhaps the argument is you're saying many people have evil within them and they have to fight against those urges. I think that would describe people who have evil within them, but I think there are certainly people who aren't evil.
I think that it's. I think
don't
that
have
you
a hard
are
time resisting
at
those.
greater risk of succumbing to evil if you don't recognize the human susceptibility to it.
I guess what I'm saying is I think some people are evil, and perhaps many of them resist the urges to be evil and do evil. And there's varying degrees to which they are suppressed from that. Some is by threat of physical force against them. Why they don't go into the great grocery store full of bounty and just take whatever they want is they know someone will tackle them and they'll get arrested.
Well, not these days. Now they just take
Right. And that's because some people are willing to engage in acts of, let's say, outright selfishness, except for physical deterrent. Some people have social emotional deterrent, meaning they're scared they will be shunned and ridiculed if they do it.
Well, and
some people just
people-
genuinely don't want to do it.
right, but you're capable of
There
it,
are
even
people
if
I
you
disagree.
don't want to do
I'm
it.
saying I think you're confusing the action with like the desire, which is what I'm talking about. I'm saying someone who has absolutely no desire to commit evil is. I guess they could decide one day, like, I've never tried evil, but then they're clearly capable.
Well,
of
what
it.
about the low-level flunkies in authoritarian states who go ahead and commit the evil acts on behalf of the authority in their country, and they just do it anyway?
Perhaps,
like when you look at like the low-level
it's banality of evil.
Yeah,
that's evil.
yeah,
And there was one guy who crossed his arms and refused to salute Hitler.
yeah.
I don't think
he
every
didn't
single
go
person
for it,
is,
but
is
you're capable of it. Even if you don't go for it.
I think you're making the argument about the disconnect we're having is that you're making an argument about the physical capabilities versus what I'm saying is the internal desires.
Correct.
Yeah, you don't have to have the desire.
There's clearly a range of people.
To do
Some
it.
some people cluster B, some people traumatized, some people selfish, some people are more inclined towards it than others. One thing that I will say that I agree with you a lot is that some people that I've met in my life, they're like, oh, I could never do that. I could never do that. And then they totally do it. Yeah. So it would have actually served them to have that conversation with themselves that you're talking about.
Well, I think it's important to have that conversation.
I'm not talking about physical capability. I'm talking about internal desire. Some
Right.
people have no internal desire and are not at risk of being evil people.
Well,
I think
espe-
even if you don't have the desire, you can still be at risk of it.
There's also something beautiful when you recognize how good it makes you feel to be altruistic, to have integrity, to add value. And then what starts to happen when you recognize that and you have a transformation there, then you actually lose those good feelings when you do bad things. So you actually have an internal regulation because you realize that you're contracting and shrinking when you act like that. So you can actually take very dark people and expose them to that, and they can have a change. But
Yeah,
they'll
it's called
often resist it though.
redemption.
Yeah, they can have redemption.
Yeah, because we're all capable of that as well.
That's kind of what I meant about some people from earlier in the conversation, even if they're not going to do it, but always a chance.
So I guess the way I see it is there are some people who, in my experience, have been like, that's really cool, man. Like, I hope things are great. I have one friend who is like very lefty and like still one of my best friends. And they're just like, I don't care about anything else. Like you're my friend. And like, we don't really ever talk about any hardcore political stuff, even though I see their posts on social media. And there are some people who are like legit hang out everyday best friends who were never political. And then all of a sudden we're like, ooh, now's my chance to get famous and make money. Mm-hmm. I'm like, clearly one person is evil and one person is not. Mm-hmm. And the person I see as not evil is political with lefty values, but they're based on ignorance. So there's, they're not, I'll put it this way. They're not overtly political going out and joining activist rallies or anything. They're just posting memes and stuff and they don't know better. Mm-hmm. And so I suppose in that sense, you could say there's a capability of the banality of evil, which I understand and would agree with. But I think there are certainly people who are legitimately and genuinely evil. Maybe the better way to put it is, yes, everybody is capable of evil, but there are some people who are downright evil and only being stopped by committing evil acts due to fear of physical suppression.
I think that's true too.
Your analysis too of like some people physical suppression, some people ridicule, some people have ethics and morals, and there's a range of different people.
But like a lack of desire to be evil. You know, there are some people who are just like, I have no interest whatsoever in hurting.
But you know what's funny about that? There's even a range to that. I think Jordan Peterson talks about this, where it's like you see some of these people that are very, very passive, like they're very, very chill, but then they're the same people that will vote for a lockdown, right?
Yeah.
So it's one of these things where Jordan Peterson will say that you have to be dangerous to even be trustworthy. Like, be dangerous, but then don't use it. So it's one of these things where how much proactive consciousness does someone even have in their mind?
Maybe
how much are they even in touch with their own thinking as opposed to groupthink?
I think maybe we're defining evil differently, I suppose.
But it's interesting to think about, like, somebody who would be, you know, pro lockdown, right? And they're just kind of passive and they're not really digging into it. They're like, I don't know, it's all good. Like when I see people that are easily bent, I don't trust them. People that are easily bent scare me because they're the people that will be weaponized by some psycho. And then what the psycho will do is shift the Overton window to say, oh, this is good and this is bad. And then the passive people are just like, okay, just following orders. And like, to me, that's evil.
I view it like this in the way you mentioned it. Like, what amount of value on the table would make you uneasy? And for me, it's like literally none. Like there could be, billions of dollars, and I just be like, I don't know.
Yeah, but you're an exceedingly principled. I mean, you, Luke, like, and I'm just getting to know you, but I bet you are the same from what I can tell from you. But like Luke has run into riots in Hong Kong, with a gas mask on to go reveal the truth. That's not an average person. You've done similar types of things. That's a very different type of person.
Like, there is no circumstance at any point where if I found a wallet in it, I would take the cash out and chuck the wallet.
No, I would never
I'm
do
the
that
same way.
either.
So why are you like that?
I don't know.
Because I don't. There's reasons though.
Because I don't like. Somebody needs that wallet back.
Yeah, it's also that you understand that you're being a piece of crap, and that would lower your self-esteem.
It's not just that. It's like, I've been homeless before, So
you have a higher degree of empathy between the sociopathy and high empathy.
It's not even that. It's like, dude, your money does nothing for me. It moves me in no way.
So maybe what you're saying is that once you reach financial abundance, you have more empathy?
No. I'm saying that, like, I don't want to be involved with you. I'm saying that I would rather dig through the dirt to find bugs to eat than have anything to do with you. Like,
why?
I don't want to be responsible for other people. I don't want to take for them and be responsible for their misfortunes, misdeeds, or fortunes. Leave me alone. Let me do my thing. I'll figure it out.
So for you, it's about self-efficacy.
It's about infringing upon another person. I don't want the responsibility. I don't want to hold your kid. Like, you come with your baby, I'll be like, your kid is very beautiful, very cute. I'm very happy for you. I don't want that responsibility. Sorry,
So you just really like to do your own thing.
I like to be left alone, and I don't want to be responsible for other people. Yeah, and then it's an interesting predicament, running a company and having to be, because that's a natural part of reality. But my point is, like, I would rather be homeless, foraging for food, than stealing someone's wallet or exploiting their misfortune.
Yeah. For me, I wouldn't take the wallet because I think life is a test on your morality and you will be judged based on your behaviors. So that's why I wouldn't do it personally myself. And to add to the context of what you were saying here, MLK always, of course, has this famous quote saying, in the end, we will remember not the words of our enemies, but the silence of our friends. And I think that's what you're kind of getting into and talking a little bit.
Let's go to Super Chats. If you haven't already, would you kindly smash that like button, subscribe to this channel, share the show with your friends, and become a member at timcast.com. We got a lot of election stuff to talk about. We'll talk about it in the members only, uncensored, unfamily friendly show. That'll be at about 10:45, 11 p.m. You don't want to miss it. Don't forget to go to losingmymind.com and check out our latest song, By Genocide, by Timcast on iTunes. If you really want to help us out, we're hoping to smash into the Billboard Hot 100. Maybe. We did really well last time. Maybe we'll do even better this time, but only with your help, and we really do appreciate it. Let's read your Super Chats. All right, let's see what we got. DeBob says, night of the final day, 12 hours remain. Very excellent Donnie Darko reference. That maybe it's another movie too, but that works for Donnie Darko too, right?
That was quite a film.
Yeah. Raymond G. Stanley Jr. says, Tim, Blood Moon, last time, 175 days. Barbie Pooch discovered, 183 days. Okay, US dollar official, bifocals invented, pay money for bifocals. Okay. Someone mentioned May 16th, the last blood moon, was when Sweden declared the end of their neutrality. They'd be joining NATO.
That's wild. I saw you pull that up.
Wow.
Yeah, very interesting. Zoroark Graft. The blood moon is an omen of war in most cultures. I believe this election will be the official lines in the sand, then war will begin. The scary thing here is this article the Bulwark wrote. They said, long story short, poll watchers from both sides are at a polling station. Someone thinks someone's doing something untoward. Scuffle breaks out, fight breaks out, someone gets shot. That's their scenario. I go a little bit further and say if they do, they shut down the polling location, and then there's lawsuits over whether or not you can actually have the election if a polling location is shuttered, and maybe violence happens all over.
It could, there could be, like we saw this kind of demonstrated in V for Vendetta. One life lost sparks an entire outrage. We saw it also with George Floyd. So anything could happen in one instant and really blow things up in a very bad way.
Two-Fail says, I've been posting losing my mind everywhere I can, including the Discord server for Studio Foul. Remember them? I got a temporary ban for shared content featuring controversial political figure. Who's not a controversial political figure? NBA players are all controversial political figures. Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. Crazy Savior says, oh, look, no notification the night before the midterm elections. Can't say I'm surprised.
I didn't get one either.
That's right. Yeah. I will also say last month was the biggest month Timcast IRL ever had, which is really, really cool news, I guess. It was bigger than August 2020, which was the previous biggest month. It was crazy. So thank you all so much for watching. We've had a lot of views this past month.
Thanks, y'all.
Despite the lack of notifications. All right. What do we got? Dreams of a Strange Man says, hello, Tim. I appreciate what you do. While I don't agree with you on some things, your channel and company is important. I hope your growth continues ad infinitum. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. All right. What do we got? Tim Paul says, hey, Tim, I think you thought I was trolling you last time, but I wasn't. It's really weird but true. I wrote a song called It Must Be True with the same concept as Losing My Mind, uploaded a few weeks ago.
Oh, yeah, that's good.
I didn't think you were trolling. I thought you were being serious.
Yep.
The line says, Tim, make us a 3x5 stand your ground flag. I'll hang it from the front of the garage. Love the design. Would buy a Velcro patch for my vest too. I think we have flags. Do we? Maybe. If you the Stand Your Ground shirt is in the chat right now. If you go to timcast.com and click store, there's the Stand Your Ground. It's a rooster.
Cute.
Yeah, because roosters will sacrifice themselves to give their hens a chance to escape.
That's right.
Yeah, they won't give up. They will rush into battle knowing they will die if it means that the hens have even but an extra second to escape.
How about that?
Very noble. Be like the noble rooster. Refuse to back down. You must stand. Voice of the People says, you cannot stand on moral high ground with those that have no morals. The only way they learn is to do to them what they do to you. The only difference is to stop when they learn as they would keep attacking. Let's see. Duncan Chestnut says, you don't neutralize an acid with water, use a base. Sometimes you got to dish it back a little to bring it back all to the center. My attitude is just people who are actively trying to destroy free speech get no sympathy from me when they get censored for violating the rules they advocated for. I think it's just simple. Tim, and I don't want to apply my principles to other people. So.
Have you ever read the Sermon on the Mount in the Bible? Mm-mm. That'd be interesting.
What's it about?
Talks all about this.
Oh,
yeah,
in great detail.
And what does it say?
Well, this is really, really heady stuff, right? So you can see it at the surface. He talks about forgiveness, and it doesn't seem practical on the surface, but it's coming from a mindset that dark energy is infecting the world, and that if we keep amplifying it by kind of reacting back and forth, that it grows. So there's a way to absorb it, but still exert leadership that could remove that energy and then bring peace. And that's a big part of the Sermon on the Mount.
X says, Tim, your vengeful cancellation is authright. Wrong. I have not called for vengeful cancellation. I have not called for the banning of my enemies. I have simply said the people who have sought to destroy free speech will get no advocacy from me. That's neutrality on the issue. Whereas other people who have made nasty political arguments, even those against me, I would advocate for their restoration. My point is, if you come out and call me dumb and insult me and say I'm stupid and have bad ideas, and then you get banned for it, I'll be like, no, come on. They're allowed to say those things. People in the chat who insult me all day and night, I'll say, no, they're allowed to do it. The only rule we have is against spamming because that's actually anti-speech. It makes it impossible for people to communicate, so we have anti-spam as a rule. Anything that seeks to silence people's ability. Someone who is seeking to silence the ability of people to speak actively and encouraging it, I will not call for them to be banned. They're allowed to advocate for it. When they do get banned because of their own rules, I will not advocate for their restoration. I'll simply ignore it and move on. So it's not revenge. It's just, I'm not getting involved. All right. Carlos Danger says, Ligma Johnson and D's Nuts MD in 2024.
Yep. I mean, those are politicians you can believe in right there.
Great running.
Derek Gentry says, Libby is wrong. That thinking is why liberals keep winning. You can't sit on your hands while 5 people are hitting you and expect to win.
I said that was pacifism.
What was not?
That's what pacifism is.
Yeah, I don't think you backed that. I think you just defined what it was.
Yeah, that is what pacifism is.
The
That would
Anvil
be like
says-
the Quaker view.
Yeah.
They use our principles to gain power, then abuse us with that power. We must fight back, and we all know if you find yourself in a fair fight, your tactics suck. Yeah, I think of it like borders, right? I believe in borders because if you don't have strong borders, you don't have a country. That's literally what defines. I think we talked about this before. I can't remember which one it was, but nation and country are different. Nation is a people with shared ideas, morals, or something like that. Or is it the other way around? I don't know. They're different meanings. One involves specifically that there is a border delineating where these ideas persist. If you have no borders and anyone can come, then your culture eventually dissolves. You can't enforce your own laws. Someone could like run in, smack you, and then run out. And it's like, I guess if you don't believe in borders, you could go over there and arrest them or something. But you need to be able to be like, this is the area that we defend where we uphold our rights. Over there, we have no power, no control, and we're not going to impose our power on you. That's why I am anti-interventionist. But anyway, let's move on. All right. Zorok Graf says both of the guests tonight clearly don't know who Ethan Klein is. Like you guys just came into the conversation.
No. Ethan's made videos about me, and so
Yeah.
has Hassan, and I'm chill with it.
You don't know his history and who he is and has always been since he started YouTube. Well, I know that he's not a political guy and that he's only involved in politics because it became pop culture. So that's an issue right there. If I'm having a political debate with someone who's involved in politics, yeah, we can disagree and that's fine. We're trying to solve our problems. But somebody whose whole career was edgy comedy and drama videos, deciding that politics is a path towards making money and being relevant, that person has no interest in a real conversation. So you can invite them all you want. It's meaningless. They won't do it.
So as he said flat out, you go to LA, he's not going to meet you.
I've been ignored by him. And as for Hassan himself, I think I offered, and that was where the conversation ended and didn't move forward. So I don't know exactly what the circumstances there was.
Would they do maybe a Zoom one? Didn't Crowder do a Zoom one with them?
Yeah, we don't. That would be providing. So we don't have any capability for Zoom or Skype here. We actually don't have any cameras that can hook up or be. So like I actually have Andy No and Lauren Southern wanted to come on the show remote. I said we can't do it. We literally do not have that capability, and we're not going to build it.
It also became a screaming match, which was a shame too.
What did?
I think with Crowder, they were just yelling at each other.
Well, because when Ethan agreed to have a conversation with Crowder, he subbed in Sam Cedar.
Right.
Which is, again, it's all about shock drama.
Disingenuous.
No real conversation.
Yeah.
Steven says, Ethan, you want to have a conversation? He says, yes. And then he brings in Sam Cedar, and they turn it into WWE.
Well, I know you don't like LA, but I hope to invite you there someday and show you around, and hopefully you can meet up with Ethan.
Where I have absolute respect and a refusal to come on the show is that there are also media personalities who are running their own businesses, and they're under no obligation to cancel their shows to come see me. And I understand that because I do the same thing. Granted, we have the mobile studio for the purpose to go and try and accommodate that. But when I reached out to a couple of these people and said, hey, people don't want to come on the show no matter how many times we offer, and it's still to this day the same circumstance, I invited a politics girl. I don't know if you're familiar. Said we'd love to have you on the show and have a real conversation about where we disagree. They hit us back and said, what are you thinking? I responded. They just dropped it, ignored us outright. That is how it goes every single time.
You are also very formidable debate opponents, so it's one of these things they might be a little intimidated too.
I mean, maybe I don't really debate.
Even that point, you're like maybe you're very formidable.
I don't invite anybody
it's probably
to
intimidating.
Debate.
Okay,
they're invited to come and have a conversation and prove me wrong if I'm wrong about certain things. But what ends up happening for the most part is, here's what I think happens a lot. People on the right come here and often tell me I'm wrong about something. I may disagree and then find out I'm actually wrong. People on the left come here and say a whole bunch of things that are wrong, and then it gets frustrating when we have to keep pulling up sources to prove that they're wrong.
Well, the challenge is that inherently with collectivism is that the truths are oriented around what will benefit the collective, so it makes it challenging for them to maintain that under scrutiny.
Well, so I
inherently.
think I'll tell you exactly why they won't come on the show. Hunter Avalon. He came on. Were you here for that?
Yeah.
You were.
That was crazy.
I wasn't officially as a co-host then.
But you were just as a guest.
I know.
Oh,
I was watching.
Right.
Yeah. I was just coming through. I wasn't even supposed to be on.
He came on the show. He's a guy who used to be anti-SJW, conservative, and then became liberal after being awakened by liberals or something. And we invited him on, just like, yeah, sure, it'd be great to have somebody on and talk about stuff. And I said, you can watch the episode, but I said something like, look, when Biden said, if you don't fire the prosecutor, you're not getting the $1 billion, I'm like, quid pro quo. He goes, that didn't happen. And I was like, yeah, it did. It's on video. No, it didn't.
Biden said it happened. He bragged about it.
And then I pulled the video up, and he watched it, and he was like, I didn't know that. And I'm like, you're going to sit here and talk big about this stuff, and you didn't. that is a horribly embarrassing moment. They know if they come on the show, it will be the same thing. We've invited even friendly leftists. You know, look, I don't mean to drag Shoe on Head because I'm a fan. I think she was great. But we invited her to come on with Alex Jones to do a big, funny show. And she agreed. And at the last minute, she said no. And I will say, I think the reason is she would be forced to agree with most of what Alex Jones had to say. And that would be really, really bad for her. Now, she's anti-establishment, pro-free speech, all these really, really awesome things that I agree with, and I think she's great. She calls out the left on a lot of stuff, but it is challenging, even if you're in any even left libertarian space, to be seen on camera with Alex Jones. There are a few other leftists that we're fans of, and I'm not going to try. The only reason I bring up Shoe is because that one we've already publicly talked about, and people have tweeted about it. There's a few other leftists who've invited who we like and we're fans of who have said the same thing. I can't appear on a show with people like that. It's like, okay, I get it. You don't want to. Your principles are not as important as you looking bad for your people.
But it's also that inherently in collectivism they warp the truth to try to benefit the collective. So it makes it hard to debate against somebody like you because you're just like a very practical person. Like, I just want to be left alone. I want to know the truth. They have truths that are based on what they perceive as the collective benefit. So then it makes it very difficult to debate.
Everybody has varying degrees of collectivism.
That's true.
You know, the right has is to a lesser degree, but they certainly do have it.
Especially the 90s.
Oh yeah, I mean, but these days there's a weird merger of like a lot of I think a lot of Ron Paul libertarian types they went to Occupy Wall Street. They ended up becoming MAGA. You know, they want to leave the world alone, focus on America, work hard, mind our own business. You know, let's read more super chats. Michael Irwin says, "Blood moon tomorrow. Looks like even God is voting red. LOL." Also, no notification and bad to search for you tonight. Had to search for you to find it. Yep. You know, there you go, man. All right. Ethan Sacco says, Ethan Klein gives Ethans around the world a bad name. Let's come up with a new name for him in the comment section. H3H3. How about that one? We'll just call him what his brand name. There you go.
I say L3L3.
L3L3?
L3L3, yeah.
For like lose?
Yeah, basically.
All right. Toxic Way says, Tim, what you say about adding credibility meter to verified accounts, something akin to NewsGuard. Absolutely not. I disagree. I think the gesture cap or some kind of comedy icon, NewsGuard has that. It's a theater mask in orange. So if you go to a parody site, it tells you it's a parody site. I actually like that.
Or, you know, tell them who the advertisers are. You know, Big Pharma sponsors 80% of this news outlet. You should know that.
That would actually be very useful.
That's a great idea.
Yeah. Have transparency with where the money's coming from so we know that they're not going to bite the hand that feeds them.
That would have been very useful during the pandemic with the New York Times.
Yeah.
Some people have asked what's going on with our fact-checking news thing. We're filing. Truth and Media Foundation, and we're going to do articles, fact-checking, things like that. And it takes a really long time to organize. It's incredible. So I think we got like the last bit of the paperwork in, but we go back and forth with the government to certify a nonprofit and do all this stuff. So it is what it is. But that's a really good idea.
Yeah.
A browser extension that not only fact checks but shows you who their sponsors are, and it can break down like we randomly sampled 100 ads, 100 articles. We fact checked them, and these are the ads that were posted.
Bill Gates paid for this much of these articles. You know, there's a great article about Bill Gates.
Well, and that's private information. That's harder. What we can do is say 17% displayed ads from the Google network, which were algorithmic. 17% were Coca-Cola, 7% were Pfizer, 23% were Depends diapers, whatever.
But Bill Gates spends hundreds of millions of dollars investing it specifically in the corporate media that reports on him as some kind of great savior. Coincidence?
I thought that video you posted this morning was crazy with the CIA guy from the 80s.
Yep.
It was Glenn. I think
Snowden posted Snowden. Yeah, Edward Snowden from Russia. Yep.
I think I saw it when you.
But I've talked about this.
Yep.
It's exactly what I said this a couple months ago. That what happens is
That's true.
I said this a month ago, not even that.
Yeah.
Or a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, we had the conversation not so long ago.
The government goes to these young journalists and says, I'm going to be your source.
Now they do it for influencers too.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
And now all of a sudden you have this young journalist who's writing for, say, like Business Insider with like an entry level position, starts writing some articles claiming Trump is involved with Russia or whatever. The editor at the company gets like, wow, how are you getting this? I got a government source. The government goes to a young person who's too stupid to realize they're being fed BS. The newspaper doesn't care because, hey, it came from a legitimate government source, so we can run it. We can't be sued.
Right.
Then we get a bombshell story and make money. Then this person gets promoted. They get hired by a bigger outlet. Then they get put on TV.
And they still have their same garbage source.
That's right.
Yeah.
fake news from
Pretty
the intelligence
amazing.
agencies.
Like the New York Times. They're like, oh, yeah, WMD's in Iraq. 100%, yeah. Anonymous source.
Track Media Only says allowing Ethan and Kathy back on Twitter is like cashless bail. They've already had third and fourth chances, if not more, and you still want to let them out. Yes, but only insofar as they're actively destroying free speech. Like Milo, Alex Jones, you should be allowed back on even if you broke the rules. However, what I'm saying is if you advocate that people should not be allowed back on, I will not advocate for you to be allowed back on. I'm not saying you shouldn't be allowed back. I'm saying I'm not going to intervene. That's all you, man.
Yeah.
You will not get any favors from me.
But it could be a gesture of goodwill that could maybe potentially, I'm being very optimistic here and maybe even facetious. Maybe he's like, wow, these guys are actually fighting for me when I was such a bad word against them.
Who is that guy in Philly? It was a Soros DA. They fought to get him out of jail.
Krasner? Was it? No.
No. There was a guy in prison. They fought to get him out of prison. It may have been Krasner. They fought to get him out of prison because they were like, what did Fetterman say about this? He said, do you think Morgan Freeman in Shawshank Redemption should die in prison? Because there are a lot of people in prison who should be let out. They let this guy out. He kills again.
Yep.
So it's kind of like you think these people are going to
That
change their
keeps
ways.
happening.
They show you who they are.
I mean, Kamala Harris funded a bail fund that let a guy out who then went on to kill people more. This is what happens.
We have a very important super chat here. Matthew Schneider says Trump is really an Uchiha, and the blood moon is his Tsukiyomi. I think he said, to get people to vote Republican.
He's still speaking right now.
I have to
talking
explain
this
that to
whole
everybody.
time.
Yep.
He's not even bouncing stuff off other people. He's just talking the whole time.
Yep.
I have to explain
He's
this
energized.
to people who don't understand. Uchiha is a clan in Naruto who have eyes called the Sharingan, which means in Japanese copy wheel eye. And the Tsukiyomi is a powerful technique that allows them to hypnotize you. And by portraying his eye on the moon, it can make everyone in the world hypnotized and follow. And that's basically the plot of Naruto. So there you go. That was the esoteric joke for those that didn't get it. All right, let's see where we're at. Dreams of a Strange Man says, Hey Luke will hate this. I searched chicken on Walmart's app and most of it was canned and crap, and some of the search results were dried black soldier fly larva. It's disgusting. I had to scroll way down to get fresh chicken. Why would Luke hate that? Just don't like.
I like fresh food.
Oh, okay.
Real food and beef liver.
Wally Higgins says Tim is right. You should not advocate on behalf of people who hate you. You should not compromise with people that hate you. It's a losing strategy.
Yeah.
Lizard says the blood moon also means that vampires are coming in Romania. In Romanian traditions, beware. Vampires are coming.
Tax agents?
Yeah, the IRS is going to come out. It'd be funny if Biden came out and they announced, or it'd be funny if it was Kamala, that in order to make things more efficient, the IRS would only be coming out at night in the wee hours of the morning, and they can't enter your house unless you give them permission.
Wow, sound like vampires.
That sounds like a role I would get behind.
They're just waiting outside your door and like, get out of here. They're like, give us your money. No. Okay, where are we at? Big super chat. Thank you. Appreciate it. Jen Desai says, did you see the American flags blow down at Fetterman rally and the double rainbow for Mastriano? Now the MAGA moon?
That was
that's
pretty
crazy.
funny.
There was a double rainbow for Mastriano?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And those flags just went right down.
And I think Trump was speaking at that same rally.
Was
Trump's
he at
still
the
speaking?
Mastriano?
He's still speaking right now. I'm watching the live stream.
Yeah,
So
he's
going to announce. He's got to. He's been going for so long.
How long? When did he start?
I mean, it's been an hour at
What?
least since
At
the first
least,
time you pull
right?
it up. Maybe. That guy can talk for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He loves it.
He's
It energizes
crazy
him.
about
Yeah,
it,
yeah. He gets a lot of power from
Energize
the
him.
crowds.
Shannon-
Yeah.
Shannon says playing the lottery is a tax on people who can't do math. I disagree. It's all about being responsible with gambling. Like if you buy a quick pick once a week because it's fun and you're like, you want to look at the numbers and it's really exciting to see the numbers get counted, that's totally fine. Like, people say, oh, the lottery is a tax on stupid people. No, gambling exploits people who have gambling problems. Mm-hmm. But I go to the casino fairly often. We do. We go every so often. And it's like, you go to the casino, you set a budget of how much you want to play with, and then you have entertainment. Yeah. And if you're lucky, some of these casinos offer free drinks. So you're basically like, my drinks are paid for as I gamble. So I'm basically spending money on the night to just have fun. And sometimes you get a little extra money. Sometimes you break even. Sometimes you lose. You tend to lose.
I lost $80 in Las Vegas that way, but I also had 7 drinks. So
I mean, there you go. But it's also like, don't go to a casino thinking you're going to win $1 million. You go there to hang out and feel the excitement of like, are you going to get a blackjack? Whoa, I got it. And everyone cheers and it's fun. Or you get like trips in poker or something.
Yeah.
I also watched somebody lose literally, I think, like $18,000 sitting next to me, and that was terrifying.
Yeah.
That was terrifying.
And it's also a good lesson on not doing that.
Yeah,
So I look at the
it was
lottery
very
and it's like,
scary.
bro, if you make like $20 an hour and then you spend your entire paycheck on lottery tickets, like that's a problem. But I'm not going to advocate for the government to stop you from being able to do it. But if you go and you like, today I saw a guy, he put $10 down and it was 5 games, 5 quick picks. And I'm like, that's fun. He's going to go back and he's going to, sit on the couch and he's going to be hanging out with his wife or whatever. And they're going to be smiling and they're like, ooh, just having that dream. And then they're going to go back to their lives and they're going to crumple it up. In fact, winning would probably be worse for them. It'd be better for them in the sense that they get health care and be taken care of for life. But man, the emotional turmoil that would come from that win is scary.
Yeah.
Not everybody can handle it. Rogue Gaming says each moon is named 3 moons per season. In a year with 13 full moons, one season with 4 moons has the blue moon. It is the second or third out of the 4 full moons in that season. Oh, interesting. I thought the blue moon was the second full moon in 1 month. So that like
Yeah, I don't know.
because typically it's like every 28 days. So then every so often you'll get a blue moon, which is 2 full moons in 1 month. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. All right, let's grab some.
I wonder
we'll grab
if,
one more.
you know, in Miami they have like full moon parties. I wonder what their party is for the blood moon.
LA too.
Yeah.
There's a lot
Really?
of full moon parties
Yeah.
like
Well,
all over the
I-
world
All
that I've
over the
been to
world.
that are pretty.
Yeah.
I
Crazy.
went to one recently in September. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
All right, we'll get one more here. Raymond G. Stanley Jr. says, Tim, for long show, who you got coming tomorrow? Who do we have coming? Should we announce?
Yeah.
That's something
Yeah.
crazy, and Libby
Yeah.
will be here.
I'm going to be around.
I think, so what I understand is who's coming. Drew Hernandez will be here. We're excited. Drew's cool. Lisa Reynolds will be coming back.
Oh, nice.
We're
I
gonna
love
have-
those guys, both of them.
Yeah, Mary Morgan will be hanging out. Then Owen's going to be here as well.
Yep.
But we're going to have the room full. And then, of course, the entire Timcast crew, whoever wants to come, we're going to be basically hanging out here partying all day. So we'll probably start the stream. We might start it early, maybe 6, depending on what happens. Look, if something crazy happens, we'll run up
Yeah.
here and we'll get something going.
Let's keep
ASAP.
an eye on it and call
Right.
it when we're there downstairs. So
Yeah.
we'll be there down at like 4 or 5 o'clock hanging out. We'll be paying attention. Something breaks, we're running up here.
Yeah. Yeah. And then we're basically just going to chill and have people come in and come out, and because it's a nail biter night, man.
Yeah.
All right. If you haven't already, would you kindly smash that like button, subscribe to this channel, share the show with your friends, and become a member over at timcast.com. We're going to have a members only show coming up for you. We'll talk a bit about the election and some other stuff. You can follow us at Timcast IRL. You can follow me at Timcast. And if you really, really want to support us, we're hoping to smash into the Billboard Hot 100 with your help buying our song Genocide, Losing My Mind on iTunes or anywhere else. We are currently, earlier today, we all weekend, the #1 best-selling song on Amazon Music. We hit #1 on iTunes, displacing Taylor Swift Friday and Saturday, but dropped down on Sunday. But I'm feeling pretty good. We don't have as many views on this one on YouTube, but it looks like streaming and sales are way better on this song. We got way more likes on this one. I'm hoping that next week, Tuesday, when the Billboard comes out, we're gonna be in the Hot 100. The goal is just to make music, make culture, but also to eventually start pushing them out of these spaces. So much like the Daily Wire is doing movies and shows, we want to make more and more cultural stuff too. So with your support, we can. Libby, do you want to shout anything out?
Yeah. So I'm wearing this Learn to Code shirt, actually. That
Hate speech.
It's hate speech, and you could buy it, actually. My friend and I have this wokestore.me, and you could check it out.
That's a good name.
Yeah, it's actually, it's pretty cool. So, and also I'm up at the Post Millennial every day.
Right on. Owen.
So you remember we were talking about weird coincidences earlier? I know you weren't too sold on it, but I'll show you something funny. I'll pull out my text message later.
I'm just not sold on the meaning.
Totally get it. So the thing is, I'm going to show you the text message later, but the video that we were planning to post tonight was all about this topic. And I rarely ever talk about this. It's a video.
Interesting.
I shot it in Yellowstone National Park. It's like a 1-hour documentary all about the idea of forgiveness. And I was planning to post it before we even came here, and it's perfectly suited. So if you go to Owen Cook Self-Help on YouTube, go subscribe. And there's a ton of incredible personal growth content on there. But specifically, I'm going to go post this video from Yellowstone that we shot in a beautiful winter in the Lamar Valley in Yellowstone for about almost an hour, just on this topic, and I think it's going to be a perfect follow-up just for what we talked about here. So interesting coincidence there.
Thank you guys so much for coming. This was great. I love the conversation. My website is lukeuncensored.com. I have a lot of amazing members on there. You could talk to them. You could talk to me, all on that website. I did a video today just for members talking about my predictions for this upcoming election, and I think it's definitely worth the watch. Check it out on lukeuncensored.com.
And I'm Serge.com, guys. There's a lot of fakes out there saying they're me. It's Serge.com. That's me, the only one.
So one last thought before we go into the members-only show, which I encourage you to come and watch. ABC News says, a red mirage or an artificial GOP vote lead will likely reoccur on Tuesday. Okay, we're going to talk about that over at timcast.com. We'll see you there. Thanks for hanging out.
Cheers.